that protects your personal assets. Without it, you could lose everything. That's why at Incorporate.com, they just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. They don't provide legal or financial advice. If someone sues tomorrow, will you lose everything? Don't wait until it's too late. Hurry and call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide while they're still giving them away for free. Call 1-800-400-4817. That's 1-800-400-4817. 1-800-400-4817.
5:08. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here is Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Mike. On the Reagan Tollway eastbound, we're seeing slow traffic from 31 to past the Aurora Toll Plaza. Got a heavy delay. Most of the overnight construction has cleared. I-55, the work has lifted near Weber Road. There were some earlier delays in that area, but traffic is moving well now. Same goes for eastbound I-80 from Kedzie to the Tri-State. The other expressways and tollways are looking good. The overnight closures have been lifted. At fire at 82nd and Drexel, crews remain at the scene. We've just gotten word that the fire's been struck or put out. The crews will be busy there for a while doing cleanup and investigation. Traffic is a service of Burpee Home Gardens. Get the vegetable garden you've always wanted with tasty, easy-to-grow veggie and herb plants from Burpee Home Gardens. Burpee plants are perfect for any size veggie garden. Stop by Menards and pick up your favorite Burpee herb and veggie plants today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
For today, a blend of sun and some clouds, high getting up to 68. Later tonight, it will turn out to be mainly clear with a low 45, and we'll have a mix of clouds and sun again tomorrow with a high 75. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
48 at O'Hare, 51 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and I'm thinking, could use some R&R in addition to us next week. Jim Comey.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe we should see if we could pool our cash together and see if we, finance a trip for Jim Comey and his wife to join us in Punta Cana.
That'd be great. He could log on and get the AM 560 app and maybe get a chance to win still the trip to Punta Cana. But yeah, I saw him. Well, I saw him outside his Virginia home. He had on a baseball cap. He looked relaxed. He looked ready to go. You know.
It's a real sad story. He's got to retire back to his $3 million compound in Virginia.
The sad story is, does the family want to spend more time with him?
Well, that's always the story. Although this was not his choice to spend more time with his
not.
family, so nobody wanted that except Trump. Yesterday, Trump sat down for an interview with Lester Holt on NBC.
Wonder how he got that interview. I don't know. I mean, he worked for NBC for 14 years.
And
he's still an executive producer too for an NBC show.
I would also say that Lester Holt is more about as even keel as you're going to get from the D.C. press corps. He asks questions, he solicits responses. He is not overtly antagonistic. He lets people have their say, and so you can actually have a conversation with Lester Holt where it's more difficult with, say, your Jim Acostas of the world.
Well, with Lester Holt, it's not about Lester Holt. It's the subject matter he's interviewing.
Yeah, well, there you go. And so here's what Trump said about Comey changing the White House narrative on the termination of Comey a bit.
Look, he's a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. You take a look at the FBI a year ago. It was in virtual turmoil less than a year ago. It hasn't recovered from that.
And he also, importantly, said, look, his decision had been made. This is not per the recommendation of the Justice Department. This is the Justice Department making their recommendation after he had already, at least in his mind, made the decision that Comey was to go.
Did you ask for a recommendation?
What I did is I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. There's no good time to do it, by the way.
Because in your letter you said I accepted their recommendation,
well,
so you had already made the decision.
I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really
he made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him, the Republicans like him. He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey.
Yeah, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, yesterday that on day one, President Trump wanted to fire James Comey. But he waited, until it was the appropriate time. There never is a good time to fire someone.
So here's what I think is happening. Look, you had this dude, Deputy AG, who just got confirmed from the Senate. He didn't like the White House narrative that this was, Rod Rosenstein's decision, and so Trump just acquiesced to the recommendation of justice. And so they moved the narrative a bit, starting yesterday with Sanders and then with this interview that Trump gave to Lester Holt, to take ownership of it so they don't have their deputy AG walk on them, which is judicious because that would be a real problem politically and optically if you had Rosenstein go 2 weeks after being confirmed because he feels like the White House is saying things that aren't true.
Well, is the White House saying things that aren't true? I mean, the reasoning, but first they came out and said he was fired because of the way he handled the Hillary email investigation. And now there's different messages. And now today or tonight with Lester Holt, we're learning about this private dinner that James Comey had with President Trump back in January.
I had a dinner with him. He wanted to have dinner because he wanted to stay on. We had a very nice dinner at the White House very early on. A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner. And he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll, consider, we'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner. And at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation.
Yeah, that was in the context of a dinner and 2 phone calls that interaction between Trump and Comey, where that constituted the 3 instances referred to in Trump's letter dismissing Comey, that Comey had said to him 3 separate times that you're not a subject of the investigation. Right. You're not under investigation.
Right. But, doesn't that seem a little a gray area to be having dinner with an FBI director where you're allegedly asking him, am I under investigation?
What Trump told Lester Holt was, to the extent you can tell me, am I a target of the investigation? And Comey allegedly said no. Okay,
what about President Trump demanding loyalty? Like asking him basically to kiss the ring. Are you going to be loyal to me during this time? Is that illegal?
According to who?
Well, there's many articles out this morning in the New York Times, one of them saying that during that private dinner, Trump demanded loyalty.
Mm-hmm. And the New York Times also reported that days before his termination, Comey had demanded more resources for the
right, and Russia. They still were saying that yesterday.
Right, so they said that. That was denied by the Justice Department. Now, acting director Andrew McCabe testified before the Senate yesterday. No Republican partisan, by the way, as we've talked about, his wife's political relationship with the Virginia governor and former DNC chairman and Clinton ally, Terry McAuliffe. On that question of resources for the Russian investigation, McCabe said, I believe we have the adequate resources to do it, and I know that we have resourced that investigation adequately. In response to a question from Susan Collins following up about whether or not the request was made, McCabe said, I cannot confirm that request was made. As you know, ma'am, when we need resources, we make those requests here, so I'm not aware of that request, and it's not consistent with my understanding of how we request additional resources. We don't typically request resources for an individual case. So there's what the New York Times reported, and they did report that. And then there's what people in the know
like
are
people in the
saying,
State Department?
And the acting director of the FBI, oh, by the way.
Well, in this dinner, according to the New York Times, the conversation, as they ate, the president and Mr. Comey made small talk about the election and the crowd size at Mr. Trump's rallies. The president then turned the conversation to whether Mr. Comey would pledge his loyalty to him. Mr. Comey declined to make that pledge. Instead, Mr. Comey has recounted to others that he told Mr. Trump that he would always be honest with him, but that he was not reliable in the conventional political sense.
Yeah. Yawn.
Really?
Has anybody?
Sounds like a dictator there. I mean, will you pledge your loyalty to me? And then what? A few months later, he fires him?
What? Well, I mean, again, you have to follow threads of logic here, or not. But so if he was going to fire from day one, then loyalty wouldn't have been demanded, wouldn't have been needed. If Comey told him that he wasn't a subject of any investigation, then why would he need to demand loyalty? So either of those two things are those predicate questions I just asked are untrue, or the New York Times may be parsing the conversation, or their sources may be, less than accurate in terms of what information they have learned from that private dinner that they allegedly had.
Mr. Trump's initial question apparently did not satisfy the president, the associates said. Later in the dinner, Mr. Trump again said to Mr. Comey that he needed his loyalty. Mr. Comey again replied that he would give him, quote unquote, honesty, and did not pledge his loyalty according to the account of the conversation.
Yeah. So
it just sounds dictatory.
So what about the predicate questions I asked? If you aren't a subject of the investigation, then why do you need loyalty?
Because Trump needs it to feed his ego. He's all about, are you on my team?
If you had decided that he was gone, then why would you be demanding loyalty and make a big show of it? Maybe.
Well, maybe he really wasn't going to fire him back in January. Maybe it's just convenient for him to say that now.
Well, I know, and maybe
because there's so many different messages coming out of the White House.
This is all conjecture. But let me tell you, the unnamed source from the New York Times on this topic in particular, given the story they had out this week about resources, and given other stories the New York Times has done in this administration, and given the fact as our friend David Drucker reports in the Washington Examiner this morning, the media has already impeached Trump. And now they're just trying to bootstrap the process to get to the conclusion they've already drawn, which I think is largely accurate. Then, maybe if you want to be skeptical, be skeptical. You should always be skeptical of politicians, and you should always be skeptical of the D.C. press corps, too.
Okay.
Because they have one unnamed associate recounting a dinner that he wasn't at. We're supposed to take that as gospel?
Well, here's Mom of the Year, Sarah Sanders.
Frankly, he'd been considering letting Director Comey go since the day he was elected.
Okay.
Cassandra on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, both of you. What I seem to need to know is why wasn't Comey delegitimized the moment, Dan, that he said he would not recommend prosecution against Hillary, but if you or I or Amy did it, we would be prosecuted. Why wasn't he completely delegitimized then? I don't understand it.
Well, what do you mean delegitimized? He was delegitimized in the eyes of many, but he was the FBI director. He was the FBI director under Loretta Lynch and President Obama's Justice Department. So what? So what do you mean?
Well, I guess I think that all this other stuff is peripheral and small. And here we have a guy that he either should have resigned, saying, I'm going to resign because I'm not going to be able to recommend prosecution, or he should have recommended prosecution.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the part I don't get.
Thanks for the call, Cassandra. I mean,
I thought the Attorney General is the one who decides whether or not to prosecute, that the FBI gathers the information and then hands it over, and they decide.
Yes, it's referring for charges.
Okay.
That's specifically correct. By the way, to Cassandra's point, Richard Epstein has a piece in Vox.com, which is a left-wing outlet. Attention liberals, Comey deserved to be fired and the Constitution is just fine. Epstein, who's a respected University of Chicago law professor and law professor at NYU as well, the hysteria that this is a constitutional crisis is just that. Political blunders are one thing, if you want to make that argument. A constitutional crisis is quite another. Tom in Deer Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just in regard to your comment, Dan, about following the threads of logic, there's so much misinformation and disinformation, as there always is, but this president, in my opinion, is unique in his ability to not be logical, not be rational, lie about everything, and throw anyone and anyone under the bus. And I think, in my opinion, that's what differentiates this from any other investigation. I'd hang up and like to hear your opinion.
Well, so what? I mean, I don't understand. What with respect to Comey, which part of this?
with respect to Donald Trump, where he.
Well, I mean, you're just making. Yeah, okay, but you're making a blanket statement. I don't know what you would want me to respond to. What the particulars of the Comey termination is difficult to follow or irrational?
In specific with Trump, where he's got this narrative that he was given 3 times from Comey that he's not being investigated, and I hear people calling and discussing on escalators that, yeah, this is fact. Well, that's never been verified. It's what Trump said.
Well, that's right.
Make statements that,
yeah, that's right.
Statements that normal people would, disregard, but a large segment take what he says as gospel when it's never been verified. That's my point.
Well, okay, Tom, but I mean, this revelation about the dinner and the 2 phone calls happened last night with Lester Holt. Yeah. I mean, I suppose Jim Comey, as a free citizen, is perfectly capable, if he wants to, of refuting that occurred. Although the New York Times has a story about the dinner occurring as well. Now, what occurred at that dinner, what was said, or the 2 phone calls in question? Yeah, I don't know, but it would be sort of a silly thing to lie about if you know that the other party is going to dispute it, and then this becomes more of a controversy, and you whip yourself up into more of a maelstrom.
Well, I mean, people were out of their minds when former President Clinton met with Loretta Lynch on a plane and asked about, we don't know, but maybe possible charges against his wife. So, but President Trump's having dinner with the FBI director and asking about, is there an investigation? What's going on?
It's not the same thing.
You don't think it's the same thing?
No, I don't. It's not. I don't think it. It's actually not the same thing. Hillary Clinton was under federal investigation, and so she is a target of federal investigation, as was her foundation. Then you're having an ex parte conversation with the Attorney General. Trump is the President of the United States. There's no indication he is the subject of any investigation.
But
he's having dinner with his FBI director, in which he says, if you can tell me, according to him, if you can tell me, am I a subject of this investigation? Those are completely different things.
They both leave a bad taste in my mouth.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, this whole thing is amazing to me. And first of all, I want to thank you and Amy for being on the air, because I need this in the morning, because there's so much crap out there at our outlets. But anyway, this whole Comey thing, who in their right mind, if you had any sensibility, would not have wanted to get rid of that guy after what he did with Hillary the first time? And I'm talking about even going back to when she had those Rose records, or when she made $1,000 or $100,000 on the cattle future. It was Comey that investigated her. So this guy should have never been in that position in the first place. And for everybody to be wringing their hands, the poor timing and everything, yeah, you know what? I agree with him, because that guy should have been gone the first minute that Trump was sworn in. He was the worst. And if you were an FBI guy, after what he did to that agency that had such a proud heritage, it's just shameless. And I'm just so frustrated by the whole thing. And the media is continuous with their innuendos of just to discredit Trump at every turn in the game. And I wish Trump would just keep his mouth shut and let them make fools out of themselves. And have a nice day.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Well, it's a couple things. One, it's worth pointing out that McCabe, the acting director, also refuted part of the narrative coming out of the White House that Comey had lost the support of rank-and-file FBI agents. McCabe, who maybe was exhibiting some loyalty for Comey, said he had broad support within the agency. So just to be fair in terms of McCabe's testimony. In terms of Comey and the timing, yeah, I mean,
Well, there is no good time, as President Trump said, to fire somebody.
I mean, particularly when you have a Democrat Party and a D.C. press corps that want to prosecute and will continue to prosecute this Russian interference case, regardless of personnel decisions, regardless of what's going on, they're going to hang on to every thread they can hang on to. So I'm still looking for the Democrat or Republican who wants to defend Comey's actual job performance. And to me, that's the clincher.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-500-5236. That's 1-800-500-5236. 1-800-500-5236.
When you think about spring, what comes to mind? Baseball, tulips, spring cleaning? How about cleaning up your home? Hi, Amy Jacobson here to tell you about our good friends at CertaPro Painters. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to focus on your exterior painting. Don't deny how ugly it is. You know, the chipping, peeling, eyesore of a front porch. So do what I did and call CertaPro Painters now. 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They really are the best in the business. They're clean, responsible, talented. They increased our property values. They're such a top-notch company. They've been around for 25 years and counting. So do what I did and experience the CertaPro difference. 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ronner gets booed at Chicago State University. They gave him the old Betsy DeVos treatment at 5:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 48 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage Warranty. Some FBI officials have different accounts from Donald Trump about how a dinner meeting between now-fired FBI Director James Comey and the president went down. Trump telling NBC Thursday that Comey had requested the White House meeting early in the administration to ask to keep his job.
A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner. And he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll, consider. We'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner. And at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation, which I knew anyway.
An FBI official tells NBC it was the White House that may have requested that dinner. President Trump wants a special commission to investigate claims of vote fraud. White House spokesman Sarah Huckabee Sanders says the president is more than concerned.
The president signed an executive order establishing the bipartisan Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity.
Trump has alleged that over 3 million may have cast illegal votes. In the 2016 election, Vice President Mike Pence will chair that panel. Pence will be in Billings, Montana today to campaign for Republican Greg Gianforte. Gianforte hoping to win a special election for a U.S. House seat vacated when Ryan Zinke was appointed Secretary of the Interior. A suspect is in custody after allegedly killing an Arkansas deputy sheriff and 2 others. James Bowden surrendered after a 5-hour standoff. An Indianapolis man who admitted going on a killing spree inspired by the movie The Purge will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jonathan Cruz was sentenced yesterday to 3 consecutive life terms without parole, plus 16 more years for armed robbery. Cruz pleaded guilty last month to killing 3 in May of 2016. Crews mopping up at the scene of a fire on Chicago's South Side near 82nd and Drexel. Loved ones this morning are devastated after a Schaumburg woman who was reported missing last week was found dead in her car. Police say Sheila Khalili was discovered yesterday morning inside a vehicle submerged in a pond near Olivet Nazarene University in Bourbonnais. A Lake County judge is refusing to dismiss money laundering charges against Melody Glinowitz, the wife of disgraced former Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz. She's accused of participating in her late husband's schemes to siphon off thousands of dollars from the police youth program. Pending discovery of his theft in 2015 prompted Glinowitz to stage his suicide to look like a cop killing. Cubs open up a set with the rival Cardinals tonight at Busch. Twins, 7-6 winners over the White Sox. The news, a service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today, just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee. For tires, oil service, and repairs, National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. 5:33 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher has had enough political correctness.
If a black guy took out a sword and started stabbing white college kids, one would think that should be part of the conversation. But you're not allowed to have that conversation because for some reason we are reluctant to have an honest dialogue about what very well may be a hate crime.
The Mike Gallagher Show.
I am so sick of political correctness.
Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Now on sale through May 17th. The best pre-workouts, proteins, vitamins, and fish oil are buy two, get one free. And mix and match. Change begins at GNC.
Here's Jerry, Utah Hall of Fame tennis player, talking about balance of nature.
When you get to be a senior, my age, almost 77, you lose a step here, you lose a little reflex, you lose a little timing. But the thing I've noticed since I've been on balance of nature, I'm just as perky as ever. I don't get tired, and it's a wonderful feeling. I can play 4 and 5 hours of tennis a day, and up to that time, I couldn't do that. It's wonderful to know that every day you can get the fruits and vegetables that you need to be taking. To me, it's just marvelous.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get the best offer they've ever given. 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
5:35 and a check of our roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Traffic is heavy early on the Bishop Ford Freeway inbound. It's slow from 111th to the Ryan. It's 23 minutes from 8094 to the Merge. I-57 at 20 minutes. Delays there start at 107th. And the Ryan just has a 1-minute delay, Roosevelt into downtown. All clear on the Edens. The Kennedy's fine. No significant delays yet on the Eisenhower. Northbound I-55, heavy 53 to 355. Then State to Lakeshore Drive. Stevenson, 36 minutes, 355 to the drive. Lakeshore Drive's fine. Tollways are good. No delays to report at the moment in northwest Indiana. Traffic is a service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today. Just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee. Tires, oil, service, and repairs. National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Providing the right climate for business since 1935. A sunny day ahead, high 68. Clear to partly cloudy and 45 overnight. Currently, we have 47 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so it's not just the D.C. press corps full of divas. Of course, entertainment is as well. We talked about Steve Harvey's list of demands yesterday. The missive that he had sent to all Steve Harvey staff on his various shows from you got the Family Feud, you got his radio show, you got Kids Do the Darndest Things.
Right, but this memo
you
went
got
out.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Is he in Fast
Oh my
and
gosh,
Furious? No, I don't think
goes on. But he sent this memo out to the staff in Chicago while they're taping their last show here, which basically, he set
You
boundaries.
got the Kings of Comedy? Yeah, that. You got the Kings of Comedy.
Did you mention his morning radio show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, in all caps, just part of it. If you open my door, expect to be removed. My security team will stop everyone from standing at my door who have the intent to see or speak to me. He was basically, he just needs time to himself, Dan. He's sick of being ambushed by people with friends that come to the show.
Look, I know.
And have him sign this.
I know how it is. There's only so much Steve Harvey to go around. Same thing.
No, that's fine. But yesterday he came out, he said, he's sorry for the harsh letter, but he needed to set those boundaries for personal reasons.
Right. And so, since we were critical of Steve Harvey for being so ham-handed and authoritarian with the staff, Ann B. Davis's Bowling Ball did some pretty good journalistic work on me and found a document that I penned to staff and posted on smokinggun.com.
First of all, it is a very gorgeous picture of you holding a little
thank you so
pussy
much.
cat. Is that Angel, the cat that you grew up with?
No.
No, and is this a joke?
Friends to animals, big and small.
Well, they apparently have this alleged document that notes that Prof 62 or 6'2", I don't know. Are you 62 years old? Requires all individuals under his employer, and all individuals interacting with him at his place of employment, WIND 560, adhere to his demands. Failure to comply will result in reassignment to the Bill O'Reilly's team. Okay.
So some of the demands that, and I will confirm the authenticity of this. I mean, I'm just going to cop to it because, why play? Why engage in a charade? It's just going to be discovered. So
I'll read the first one. I'm not reading the second one.
Okay.
Mr. Prof shall have his Metamucil mixed only with Grey Goose vodka.
I'm brand loyal. Also, an employee noticing the zipper to Mr. Prof's trousers being down shall casually close the zipper as to draw no attention to Mr. Prof from others in the room. I do like, discretion.
This is my favorite. Do not look into Mr. Prof's heart as it does not exist.
Mr. Prof shall not be disturbed while on air between the hours of 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Mr. Prof shall not be disturbed immediately following a show between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. Covers all 24 hours, of course. Mr. Prof conserves water by demanding bottled tears of 3-week-old puppies.
Requests to Mr. Prof are to go through his Australian Border Collie.
Well,
you don't have an Australian.
No,
Border
that's he's got that wrong. He's got my dog wrong.
Mr.
So that is one inaccuracy in this report.
Oh, this is great. Mr. Prof shall compensate employees with quote unquote Prof dollars redeemable at the Prof store, Herman Sporting Goods, and other fine retailers.
This is my favorite, and I absolutely stand by it, much like Steve Harvey stood by his letter to staff. Mr. Prof shall be referred to as the Commodore. And I think that is appropriate.
Decisions on where to eat will be made by a panel chaired by John McLaughlin, but will exclude Eleanor Cliff for her presence of gluten-free venues.
For her persistence
of gluten-free venues. I can't.
And lastly, if you're wearing the same ascot as Mr. Prof, you will remove it and place it in the company bum box to prevent the mistake from occurring again. I mean, so I don't think they're generally accurate. I don't think they're terribly unreasonable. And, when you're a big shot like Steve Harvey or me,
Prof.
you can demand these sorts of things and specific conduct from subordinates.
They called you a high-rolling diva-like wannabe Illinois governor. Does that hurt your feelings?
No, that's accurate. Mm-hmm. So the truth is an absolute defense to slander, and so I can't say that Ann B. Davis's bowling ball slandered me in this instance.
What is with you holding the little kitten who wants? It looks like he's going to tear your eyes out. He's nice. He's nice to your cheek, and then he's going to gouge your eyes out. Huh?
No.
Where was this picture taken?
I'm like Dr. Doolittle.
Where was this?
Yeah.
Who took this picture?
That was a picture from many years ago at an office. There were some kittens in the office.
Oh, really?
Kittens sometimes stop by and visit me. people bring kittens to have them blessed.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was one instance of just showing the soft underbelly despite my hard shell exterior.
Oh, that is great. That is really good. I'm going to share that with Peyton and Eli.
And by the way,
Do you see what I have to work with every day?
Yeah, it's not. I know it's challenging, but I mean the rewards.
Well, it's a pleasure and a curse.
Right, the rewards so outweigh.
Oh yeah,
the
I need my
burdens.
Prof dollars.
Right, and so yeah, I mean, I was going to note there were a couple of things here. You're not quite abiding. I'm not going to be a stickler about it.
Oh, okay.
But there are some things here that I think there's room for improvement. I want to be encouraging to people.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, that's great. The Commodore is in the his us. Today, mostly sunny, nice, a high of 68 degrees, and just in time for our trip to the Dominican. It's going to be warm here, folks, so no worries. Saturday, clouds and sun, a high of 75. And on Sunday, Mother's Day, the best day ever, it's going to be sunny skies and a high of 71 degrees. Let's get into our alarm detection system traffic center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Happy Mother's Day in advance. Hope the boys treat you well. Dan, good morning. South side of Chicago, crews have extinguished a fire in the 8100 block of South Drexel, but they're still there at the scene. Firefighters are cleanup and investigation. Inbound Eisenhower, a little heavy now. Manheim to 25th. 30 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 29. The Edens and the Kennedy remain clear. Stevenson is 39 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 29 already. Tollways are good. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Speaking of Mother's Day, did you know that it's Sunday, of course? And if you haven't signed up to take your mother out for brunch, you should do so. And I suggest going to the Bolingbrook Golf Club. That's where our annual golf outing is this year, sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But again, there's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. So treat your mom in your life to a champagne brunch on Mother's Day at the Bolingbrook Golf Club from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Make your reservation now for Mother's Day. Do so by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call. A borrower called me after contacting the lender who boasts about having the lowest rates and closing costs because he thought my competitors' closing costs were excessively high. I compared loan estimates and the interest rates were identical. but our definitions of low closing costs were a lot different. Fact is, my closing costs were over $1,000 less than the lender claiming to have the lowest closing costs. When purchasing a home, you can either work with the lender, who talks and talks and talks and talks about low closing costs, or you can work with me, a lender who actually has low closing costs. Then think of all the things you could do with an extra $1,000 when we originate your loan, like pay for the movers, buy a new computer, new TV, maybe new carpet for your new house. I've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License T 4358, and MLS 19186.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now, and make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, or as I'm more well-known, the Commodore and Amy. So Bruce Rauner got the Bethune-Cookman, Betsy DeVos treatment yesterday at Chicago State, where he was invited to give a commencement speech.
Governor Bruce Rauner got a rude welcome today at Chicago State University's commencement ceremony, complete with booing.
To make a positive difference in our world and make our community a better place. To our faculty here at Chicago State University, thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication.
The graduates clearly hold Rauner responsible for the ongoing fiscal anxiety at Chicago State. 400 staffers have been laid off in the last year due to the absence of a state budget. At a later stop, the governor tells reporters he gets the message.
When I was introduced and stood up to speak, there was clapping, but there was also some negative feedback. And you know what? I share their frustration. This system is broken. I am totally with them. I'd love to boo our system as well.
The problems at Chicago State date back decades, and a series of political patronage scandals have hurt morale.
Oh, yeah. A little kicker at the end.
Oh, and by the way, and also enrollment is down. I mean, how many kids was he speaking to? 10, 20?
Well, here's the thing. The graduating classes are small because the university graduates 2% of its 2% of its students in 4 years, only 11% in 6. It did lay off a third of its employees, but it also did so while maintaining 13 sports teams at a cost of $22,000 per athlete. In addition, the school that spent more than $160 million in tax dollars, $100 million of which came from the bankrupt state of Illinois, so 2/3 of its funding for this performance. Chicago State should be closed. And, you know, I appreciate Governor Rauner's attempt to do a little bit of jujitsu there and get on the side of the students. But I got to tell you, it's time to level some truth in the community, including to college kids and, frankly, administrators and the adults in these systems as well, education and other systems, because, you know, the booing Governor Rauner, you should be booing yourselves. You should be booing the leadership of that institution, which, at least in that ABC7 report, after they misidentify this as a state budget problem, this is a Chicago State problem. There's not enough money in the world to fix this.
Well, aren't they bringing in Paul Vallis to turn things around at Chicago State?
Yeah, there's a deputy.
Yeah, they're going to keep the president of the university or Chicago State, and then he's going to help out. He's going to be an advisor and turn things around.
No, he's not. It's not possible to turn things around. It should be closed. That's the point. And Rauner needs to start, you know, dealing in hard truths in this state. Because finessing, as John Cass wrote about a few weeks ago, finessing your way. You think you're going to finesse your way back to the governor's mansion in 2018? You're not. You're not. You think you can placate people that behave like Chicago State students behaved to the governor, like Bethune-Cookman students behaved to Betsy DeVos?
I think Betsy DeVos's treatment was a little harsher than Governor Rauner's.
As I said, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be with you today. While we will undoubtedly disagree at times, I hope we can do so respectfully. Let's choose to hear one another out.
They're hearing her out.
Yeah, it was.
They were trying to drown her out the entire time because that was a constant roar so that her message couldn't be heard.
It was not harsher treatment. It was just louder because there was more graduates there.
Exactly.
But, I mean, Ronner, according to CBS News report, CBS Local here, he was subject to epithets in addition to the booing.
Oh, right. And they had to
same
have
thing.
the dean came up and told everybody to please be quiet. And actually one person was approached by security and told to sit down and shut up or we are going to kick you out.
Oh, and by the way, with respect to Ronner being the proximate cause of all the world's problems, despite that ABC 7 report properly noting the problems at Chicago State that date back decades, your Democrat state legislators, Chicago State students, mostly that come from Chicago, which has nothing but Democrat state legislators, including the two legislative leaders. We're nearing the end of legislative session, end of this month, trying to work out some kind of deal on the budget. Probably not going to happen, nor should it. And here's what your Democrat state legislators are concerning themselves with. Here's some action from the House yesterday. You ready for this? Remember the two that played Candy Crush on the floor last year? They both got bounced in the 2016 election. Here's some more people that could use a good bouncing.
Just a reminder for the body, on Monday, next Monday, the 15th, when we get back, we'll actually have the House versus Senate basketball game over at Lanphier High School. So we need basketball players. We need members to participate, male, female. We want to place a good showing against the Senate next week. So think about participating if you can play. And also, save the date. May 17th, 2017 is the Callahan-Saluki Baseball Bash. It's co-hosted by the SIU alumni. And the Saluki head coach, Ken Henderson, will update us on the 2017 season. It's going to be at D.H. Brown's, as usual, 231 East Monroe. Hope to see you all out May 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And on that basketball game, Mr. Davidsmeyer looks ready to play. If we can beat the Senate with him, I promise you that.
Oh, thanks,
Mr.
Lou
D'Amico
Lang.
is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to announce next week, Wednesday, we have the House-Senate softball game. So make sure you bring your stuff. We had a great practice the other night. We're going to have another practice either Monday or Tuesday. We'll see when we get down here.
Yeah.
But the game is Wednesday night, so please bring your stuff and let's all come out and have a good time and keep the trophy in the house.
Thank you, sir. Representative Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
Proceed, please.
Water
So since we're talking about the basketball game, there will be cheerleaders and pom girls at the game. I know some of you signed up. Please come see me. I would like to talk to you about our wardrobe. I am excited to revive my role as a pom-pom girl almost 20 years later at Monday's game. But those of you who will be on cheer, come stop by so we can talk about everything. And come out and see us Monday.
It's not very
We're going to work on a routine, and we're going to decide what we're going to wear.
It's not very gender inclusive.
No,
what if
that's
some of
sexually demoralizing.
What if some of those male legislators want to be on the pom-pom squad for the basketball game?
No, they can't. There's male cheerleaders. We had a ton of male cheerleaders at our high school, so I would love to see some male lawmakers be on the cheerleading pom-poms.
So that was consuming the time on the House floor of multiple legislators yesterday, the basketball game and the softball game and the pom-pom squad for the basketball game. Meanwhile, Rome Burns, meet your Neros in the General Assembly.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
5:56. Let's get a quick check of the roads this morning. We do that in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Full of pollen this morning, Jim Delamonte.
I understand. Bless you, Mike. Good morning. Right now, the Edens is clear. The Kennedy a little stuffed up. The River Road toll to Canfield with a crash in the left lane. 4 cars involved. 24 minutes O'Hare to downtown. The Ike, 33 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson, 44 minutes. 3:55 to the drive. The Ryan, 20 from 95th to downtown. And traffic service of Napa Auto Parts. April showers bring May flowers. May showers, they just bring more rain. So head to Napa Auto Parts for $8 off. You buy a pair of Bosch Evolution wiper blades. Buy 2 Bosch wiper blades and save $8 per pair. That's Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores, offer expires 5/31/17. And that's traffic on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News. First, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We get the latest with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, sun and some clouds, high 68. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 45. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, high 75. And at night, clear to partly cloudy again with a low of 56. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
47 at O'Hare, 49 along the lakefront. The news service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. At Westin Hotels and Resorts, they offer running gear to their guests. Why? It's not to help you race to catch your flight. It's so you can pack less and work out more while still on the road, because they know what a runaround travel can be. Westin Workout Gear Lending. Westin, let's rise. 5:59, let's get an update on the headlines that are coming into the AM 560 newsroom. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Here are the stories we're following at this hour. Crews remain on the scene of a fire on Chicago's south side. Authorities say the blaze began early this morning inside a 3-story home near 82nd and Drexel. Loved ones devastated after a Schaumburg woman, Sheila Khalili, who was reported missing last week, was found dead in her car near Bourbonnais. Illinois Senate Democrats are waiting before they send a controversial abortion bill to the governor's desk. Senate sponsors say the move is designed to give Governor Rauner more time to reconsider his pledge to veto that bill. The race for school board in Rockford may not be over yet. Winnebago County Clerk's office says she's trying to see if she miscounted on Election Day after a tie sent Brandy Brown and Anthony Dixon into limbo, deciding who actually won that race. Cubs open up a 3-game set with the Cardinals tonight. Twins beat the White Sox 7-6. Get a mostly sunny day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster.
I just want somebody that's competent. I am a big fan of the FBI.
President Trump says he fired FBI Director James Comey because it was the right thing for the American people, and tells NBC he wants the Russia election meddling investigation done right.
When I did this now, I said, I probably, maybe, will confuse people. Maybe I'll expand that, I'll lengthen the time, because it should be over with. It should, in my opinion, should have been over with a long time ago, because all it is an excuse.
Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee are asking the Justice Department to investigate the timing of the Comey firing during the Russia investigation. The Trump administration is telling federal prosecutors to be tough on drug crimes. Live in D.C., here's Fox's Rachel Sutherland.
Chris, mandatory minimum sentences are back as the Justice Department reverses the Obama administration's smart on crime drug sentencing policy. In a memo sent late yesterday, Attorney General Jeff Sessions instructs federal prosecutors to charge and pursue the most serious and readily provable offense in any and all cases. DOJ officials say they fully expect the new guidelines to increase prosecutions and the prison population. The Trump administration argues the new policy is about enforcing the laws as they are written and passed. Chris.
Rachel, thanks. A former Florida congresswoman could spend the rest of her life in prison.
Corrine Brown spent years in Congress representing the Jacksonville area, but now a federal jury says the Democrat is guilty of stealing money donated to an education charity and spending lavishly on herself. James Smith, her attorney, plans to fight the conviction.
She's strong. She's fighting for her innocence. She fought for her innocence during this trial, and she intends to continue to do so.
Brown, who is 70 years old, could face years in prison when sentenced in a few months from now. Her longtime aides pleaded guilty already.
Fox's Evan Brown. 15 people are reported killed by a roadside bomb in southwestern Pakistan. This is Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
With all of his faults and the occasional misstep, the President of the United States has one more thing to hang his hat on. He's a promise keeper. He promised to fix the Obamacare problem, and after a few fits and starts, looks like he's doing it. He promised to bring jobs back to America, and no president has done better. He promised to return American leadership to foreign policy after 8 years of leading from behind. And he promised evangelicals he would take the restrictions off churches to let a pastor preach the way he wants. Hey, we're just getting started. For more, keep it here. AM 560, The Answer.
Growing up, your parents took care of your every need. Now you may be providing care for them. Are you worried about mom and dad living alone? Are they getting more forgetful or need help with daily activities? Why not consider a lifestyle that provides support services so they can enjoy as much independence as possible and maintain quality of life? Arborea of Long Grove is an all-new assisted living and memory care community, offering respectful assistance with activities of daily living and specialized memory care. The community features classically designed residential spaces, gracious hospitality services, amenities, and courteous, highly skilled staff to meet every need. Arborea of Long Grove is situated on 10 wooded and lushly landscaped acres off Route 53 in Long Grove. It's a vibrant yet peaceful environment filled with good neighbors, great social activities, and the finest in care. Schedule a tour today. Call 866-239-9601 or visit arboreaoflonggrove.com. That's arboreaoflonggrove.com.
ADT presents What to Consider When Considering Home Security. An ADT sign is more than a sign. It's a line in the sand. On one side, your family. On the other, an uncertain world.
For over 140 years, more people have chosen ADT to help prevent crime than anyone else. Get ADT starting at just $28.99 a month.
Tested, trusted, proven ADT.
With 36-month contract for licensing and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Dockside Marine in Wilmington. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, or as I'm better known, the Commodore. The Commodore and Amy. Thank you, Ann B. Davis's bowling ball, for making that more public so people know how to properly address me. Here's
on the Smoking Gun website, Dan Proft's list of demand. Then you people out there can know what I go through every day working with you from 5 to 9.
The entire staff, really.
Yeah. And what you're the Commodore?
The Commodore.
It's a great
you don't know.
Fetching photo of you and a little kitten.
Yeah. With my little skipper's hat, like the captain and Tennille. You're the Tennille to my captain. The Amy to my Commodore. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636, turnkey.pro text line. Do you believe anybody in this Comey termination saga? Should you believe anyone? Here's our friend Chuck Krauthammer's take on it.
Look, nobody here has distinguished themselves. I agree the media coverage has been quite appalling. They have this narrative that there's a conspiracy they're trying to cover up. This obviously was a Russian inside job. The Trump campaign had collaborated, and thus all of this. But you have to say the administration has not distinguished itself either. The statement from Sarah Huckabee, I don't think there ever was an attempt to pin the decision on the Deputy Attorney General. It's in the damn letter that the president wrote, the one that went out, the one that announced the firing. It said he's responding to the recommendation of the Attorney General. That was their story. That's what came out. We were on the air within minutes on Tuesday night. That was the story. All night long, he was responding to a recommendation, and now it's completely undermined when the president said I was going to do it anyway. So, who to believe? Nobody.
I think I believe the Deputy Attorney General, and thus I believe the recast story coming out of the White House by Trump, as was delivered in his interview with Lester Holt, that it was his decision, and whether he was always going to do it or not, it was ultimately his decision, and then he sought an opinion from Department of Justice, and I think he went out there to say those things to prevent his Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, from walking, which would have really been problematic, both in terms of the functioning of the Justice Department as well as optically 2 weeks after he's confirmed as one of the top guys for sessions at Justice and the gentleman overseeing the investigation that the FBI is doing into Russian collusion.
But what's new this morning and what a lot of people are talking about is he apparently, in January, President Trump and James Comey, the FBI director, had dinner together and discussed some items.
I had a dinner with him. He wanted to have dinner because he wanted to stay on. We had a very nice dinner at the White House very early on. A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner. And he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll consider. We'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner. And at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation.
It doesn't sit well with me because the New York Times, which I know some consider fake news, said that they spoke with two people who described the dinner between President Trump and FBI Director James Comey as President Trump's seeking Comey's loyalty. Mr. Comey's account to his initial question, will you be loyal? He did not satisfy the president. So later in the dinner, Mr. Trump again said to Mr. Comey that he needed his loyalty. And Mr. Comey again replied that he would give him honestly and did not pledge his loyalty, according to the account of the conversation. So honest loyalty is what President Trump was pressing. Which is this a tit for tat? Is this a big deal? 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
So on the matter of who made the decision and how the decision went down, Trump explained to Lester Holt the following.
Look, he's a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. You take a look at the FBI a year ago. It was in virtual turmoil less than a year ago. It hasn't recovered from that.
And then, so there's the kind of the new rationale. There was a part of that was being put forward by surrogates, but not by the president and not by Spicer because he was hiding in the bushes, but
Right.
also not by Sarah Huckabee Sanders either. And then he goes on to explain how this was his decision, and it was his decision from Jump Street.
Did you ask for a recommendation?
What I did is I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. There's no good time to do it, by the way.
Because in your letter you said I accepted their recommendation.
Yeah, well,
so you had already made the decision.
I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really
he made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him, the Republicans like him. He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey.
But why was he going to fire Comey besides, I didn't trust him anymore? What was the reason? Was it his handling of the Hillary Clinton emails? Or was it his lack of authoritative, insertion into the Russian hacking? What's the reason why? Why all these different messages coming out? And I just want the story to end. Stop talking about it.
Well,
really. I mean, it's getting, there's different messages coming out of different mouths. They need to all be on the same page.
Yeah, this is simple, actually. Okay. Comey deserved to be fired based on his job performance. And the interesting thing is, try and find somebody that disagrees with that statement. Try and find somebody inside the Beltway that disagrees with that statement. You can't. He's just a political football now, is Comey, in this firing, and it's being used to gin up animosity for Trump among the base by Democrats as a battering ram against Trump politically. But on the merits, make the case for Comey, why he deserved to stay. On the merits, this is why I suggested Comey be terminated as a first-order priority upon Trump's inauguration, as did the Wall Street Journal and others. Some, wanted to give him more rope. I wasn't one of them. Richard Epstein, a pretty respected, I would say, law professor at NYU in Chicago, who's been critical of Trump on more than one occasion, writes in Vox.com today, the decision of President Trump to fire FBI Director James Comey is generating a fevered, near maniacal response that is out of proportion to the asserted wrong. There is certainly much grist for the mill, much of it related to the animosity that Trump has had to bear towards Comey, which proves once again in all matters of state this president is often his own worst enemy. But political blunders are one thing and a constitutional crisis is another. In Washington's fevered environment, Trump's many critics take evident delight in trying to outdo each other in their denunciations of the president. Nobody can outdo No Justice, No Peace, Maxine. Thus, you've got Vox's Matthew Iglesias, saying that although the time for impeachment has not arrived, Trump's decision to fire Comey carries with it a whiff of obstruction of justice, which is an impeachable offense if proved. And as many actual legal scholars have said, there's nothing even approaching obstruction of justice with this singular move, regardless of the timing. So if we can kind of restore some sense of proportion to this story, even if it's being handled badly from a messaging perspective, looking at the substance of it, why was Comey fired? Why did it take so long for him to be fired? Is a better question. And frankly, Susan Collins, to her credit, I think gives part of the answer, which is Rod Rosenstein got confirmed 2 weeks ago. You need infrastructure in place, your people at Justice, before you start switching out FBI directors, for example. And the slow walking of Trump nominees for cabinet posts and other deputy level posts, that has something to do with it, too. We're still in the infancy of this administration.
But it doesn't sit well with me that President Trump and James Comey had dinner together and that he asked for his loyalty.
That's a New York Times contention. That's the same New York Times that said that Comey requested additional resources for the Russian investigation just days before he was fired. So Andrew McCabe, the acting FBI director, before Congress yesterday, before the Senate, said, I believe we have the adequate resources to do it, meaning the Russian collusion investigation, and I know that we have resourced that investigation adequately.
The work of the men and women of the FBI continues despite any changes in circumstance, any decisions. So there has been no effort to impede our investigation to date. Quite simply put, sir, you cannot stop the men and women of the FBI from doing the right thing, protecting the American people, and upholding the Constitution.
John Podesta, friend, wife, the Democrat state Senate candidate, backed by Terry McAuliffe, Clinton friend, DNC chairman, Virginia governor. McCabe went on, I cannot confirm that request that was alleged was made. When we need resources, we make those requests here, meaning to Congress. So I'm not aware of that request, and it's not consistent with my understanding of how we request additional resources. We don't typically request resources for an individual case. So he can't confirm or deny what Jim Comey may have done without his knowledge, of course, but that's not how the FBI does it as a matter of course, and he doesn't believe more resources are required. So that seems to undermine the New York Times story.
Sure does.
Additionally, McCabe said, now he contradicted some of what the White House is saying too, but he was asked, has anyone in the White House spoken to you directly about the Russian investigation? No, sir. No.
Yeah.
So how are they obstructing justice? How are they inappropriate? How is anyone in the White House inappropriately interfering with the investigation if you've got your acting director, who is the deputy director till this week, saying no one has spoken with him directly about the Russian investigation? Comey made no allegation of the sort either. So what's the obstruction of justice that Democrats are arguing again? And oh, by the way, at some point, are we going to, I know they're searching for a crime to hang their hat on. At some point between now and rapture, they have to come up with an actual criminal act that was committed.
Well, they're trying to see if there was anything criminally wrong with the meeting, the dinner between FBI Director Comey and Trump in January.
This is just
That's what they're
it's
trying.
just a fishing expedition.
But one thing that happened yesterday that I had a point of contention with is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You know, Comey's fired. I think she should just leave it alone.
I've heard from countless members of the FBI that are grateful and thankful for the president's decision. And I think that, we may have to agree to disagree.
Well, that's not the truth, according to the acting FBI director.
Director Comey enjoyed broad support within the FBI and still does to this day.
Right, so he conflicts what the White House was saying. But, look, could that be a sop to his friend Jim Comey or his former boss Jim Comey? It could be. I don't know. But we've talked to a former assistant director of the FBI, Jim Kallstrom.
Yeah.
He said that that's not the case. Mm-hmm. He said what McCabe is saying is not the case, and what Sarah Huckabee Sanders said is more close to the case. So, there's disputes about this. I don't know what the truth is. I haven't seen a plebiscite on FBI employees in terms of what their opinion of Jim Comey is. But it's certainly, I go back to say this simple thing. I'm still looking for someone who will defend Jim Comey's specific job performance. Not he's a guy of integrity, not what kind of dude he is, not what people think of him, how he actually performed. And I mean, point me to somebody who is defending his performance, particularly over the last year, but as we've talked about this week, on a range of other matters that occurred at the FBI, other FBI investigations during Comey's tenure. Robert in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. To me, it's very, very strange that Comey gets fired and then Lavrov comes to the White House for a private meeting where U.S. media is not allowed, but Russian media is allowed, dispenses pictures of the meeting through Russian media. In our White House, American media is not there. To me, something seems very strange going on here. It's very, very strange.
Okay.
It was payback,
Okay.
Trump doesn't like the mainstream media, so that was a little slap on their wrist. Sorry, you guys can't be in here.
I get.
But now people are turning that, he's coddling the Russians and is, working with the Russians secretly.
It's strange. It's strange.
Just don't do that.
Let the mind
uphold
wander.
the integrity of the office of the presidency. Don't tweet Rosie O'Donnell. Don't take the bait from Stephen Colbert, which he did. Don't do that with kicking the American media out and letting the Russian media stay in. Don't feed the beast. That's what he does every single day.
I like it.
Ugh,
I like feeding the beast. You know why I like feeding the beast? Because it keeps him moving in a conservative direction. He has
You think that's conservatism?
Let me explain.
Okay.
It keeps him moving in a conservative direction because he has no quarter. He will be given no quarter from the left. It is all hate Trump 24/7, unadulterated. So, his tendency is to be liked. His tendency is to be popular. And this forces him to move a conservative agenda because this is the only place that he has consistent support, the only place where he gets credit. I think the hysteria of the left moves Trump right, and that's a good thing for American people. Remember them who need the benefits of a conservative reform agenda like they've gotten at the state level and so many of our Midwestern neighbors. Candace and DuPage.
Good morning. Did you guys see that show last night on the USA Network? It was like a big PR piece for the FBI.
No.
It was a show. It's like all about
The USA Network is still on?
Yeah, well, I couldn't believe it was on either. I just happened to fall upon it, and I was like, And then I started thinking about it, and I thought, gosh, it takes a while to put a show together. I wonder why they're doing this big PR thing on the FBI. It was about training, like female people training. Then there was a gay guy, and his father was a fireman, and now he's with the FBI. They didn't really talk about the results, and
okay,
they're talking about the Orlando thing a little bit, but I just thought it was interesting. They must have known they've had some issues with their image for a while.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Candace. By the way, some of the early polling out on this finds sort of what Krauthammer said. The country is split. There's the polling I saw among registered voters was 34 said it was appropriate and 37 said it wasn't. The firing.
Yeah. So there's another poll out that say 54% of Americans say he shouldn't have been fired.
Yeah, but that's not registered voters.
Okay.
So
among non-registered, you do registered.
All of them, all people. Registered voters is that's the universe of people that have that are at least potentially civically engaged. But so I guess the point is that this whole firing thing turns out to be kind of a proxy on Trump, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people probably don't know that much about it. You've got the media hysteria on the one side, you got Trump saying what he's saying on the other side, and the country's split like it is on so many things.
And Donald Trump tweeted to Rosie O'Donnell, "We finally agree on something," and he quoted her tweet from last December where she just wrote, "Fire Comey."
It's nice that they could find common ground. Yeah. Jordan in Forest Park.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I think Comey is basically a political animal rather than a law enforcement person. Instead of following the facts and then deciding what to do based on that, he's trying to. If the Democrats say, "Hey, there's Russian involvement," he's running over there and doing it, even if he finds no facts to back it up, and he doesn't want to stop it because that would be politically incorrect from that standpoint. And so, and if this thing happened where Trump asked Comey if he was under investigation, and Comey actually even commented on that, that tells you right there he's basically a political animal. If he was, he couldn't say anything, and if he wasn't, he couldn't really say anything. So,
Yes, statements he made. Yes,
he's in the wrong position.
Right.
For an FBI director, he should just keep his mouth shut. Don't get in front of the cameras, and just decide based on the facts.
Thanks for the call, Jordan.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
There's a question whether this is Jimmy John Leotu, Jimmy John, the founder of Jimmy John.
Yeah, who went to Eastern Illinois, who I know are people who are friends with him.
It looks like he's humping a shark on a boat.
Well, he's naked and doing something. He's riding bareback on the shark on a boat.
But he's saying it's not him.
Oh.
So this isn't controversial.
I'll show my friends and they'll decide whether it's him or not. They'll know whether or not that tattoo looks familiar. Today, mostly sunny, just a great Friday, a high of 68 degrees. Saturday, clouds and some sun, warm, a high of 75. And on Sunday, Mother's Day, mostly sunny skies, a high of 71. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, where there's no sharks there. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Not at all. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. West side of Chicago. Police activity has California closed between Washington and Madison. Eden's 21 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose outbound 19. Kennedy. Heavy after a crash at Canfield. The backup starts before Manheim on the Adams Tollway. Then it's slow Austin to Central. 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown once you get to O'Hare. Outbound, it's 22 minutes. The Eisenhower, 51 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. Stevenson, an hour and 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown after a crash on the outbound Kennedy at Adams. Northbound Tri-State, traffic is hitting the brakes. A little bit slow approaching the Hinsdale Oasis, and then from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. It's our digital platform where you can get podcasts of our Illinois Rising program covering state policy and politics. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series this week featuring Illinois Policy Institute CEO John Tillman talking about how we advance the economic liberty policy agenda in Illinois. It's a good confab. Follow the Logic, Man on the Street segments this week talking about CPS funding against the backdrop of their demand for $600 million more to keep the doors open through the end of the school year. Is CPS overfunded, underfunded, or funded just about right? Get the numbers and see how people react when they're informed. 2-minute warnings about bad actors in public office and my 60 seconds of sanity. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
They're here, circling over your head, and they're tracking you down. You feel overwhelmed, like you can't escape. You need a solution to get your back taxes filed, to put your life back on track. You need someone who can keep the vultures at bay and work directly with the IRS to leverage every opportunity to settle your tax debt. Mary Karpowitz, CEO of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, is licensed to represent you before the IRS. Don't let the IRS threaten you. You should never need to speak to them directly. Mary does that for you. Comprehensive Tax Solutions will help you settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family-owned in Chicagoland, can be a lifesaver for you. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call 708-478-6770 now.
Attention, this is an investor notice. Are you interested in making some extra cash buying real estate tax liens? Then listen to this. The Government Tax Lien Network is offering a free tax lien kit, which contains 2 DVDs and a step-by-step report that will show you how to earn guaranteed returns between 15 and 35% yearly, which is completely secured by the government. They'll even show you how to do this inside your own retirement accounts. So if you're looking to become a real estate investor without risk, then call 1-800-404-2219 now to get your free tax lien kit. Then get ready to buy tax liens for pennies on the dollar and buy houses for as low as $500, all from your home with little or no money, working only 5 to 10 hours per week. Call 800-404-2219 right now to get your free tax lien kit plus 2 free tickets to a live training event and a free $20 Visa gift card just for attending. Call 800-404-2219. That's 800-404-2219 for your free tax lien kit now. Individual results may vary. A good parking lot is essential to a good building and a good business.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great. We are an industry leader in seal coating. You can trust our company to do the work for your company. We have the same traditional values as you. We use a process and application that makes sure you get a great job that lasts a long time. I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Go to our website, greatparkinglots.com. Check it out, greatparkinglots.com.
Go to greatparkinglots.com. Schedule a free inspection and get a quote to make your parking lot a great parking lot. Save the expense. Fix, don't replace. Contact SKC Construction now for commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. SKC Construction, home of greatparkinglots.com. greatparkinglots.com.
Hey, let's be honest. Has Mother's Day slipped your mind? The irony is that Mom would never forget you. She deserves a little effort, one that includes a visit to MJ Miller & Company. Consider a locket, charm bracelet, or piece of mother's jewelry containing the birthstones of her children or grandchildren, or browse their boutique dedicated to the whimsical world of Mackenzie Childs. Visit MJ Miller in Barrington or online at mjmillerjewelers.com and see one of the largest selections of jewelry and giftware in the Midwest. Still struggling for ideas? Then attend one of 2 free events taking place May 12th and May 13th featuring a major jewelry designer. Call 847-381-7900. For details, MJ Miller is located at 123 West Main Street in downtown Barrington. They're open Monday through Thursday until 6, Saturday until 5, and every Thursday evening until 8. MJ Miller & Company, your trusted family jeweler.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In addition to planning their basketball and softball games, members of the General Assembly are moving some legislation, including legislation that would potentially put gun shop owners out of business. We're going to talk to one, Dan Eldridge, the owner of Maxons and Displays at 636.
And President Trump took the bait. Stephen Colbert victorious. You got to hear this one. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
47 degrees. We have sunshine this morning in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Trump says he knows he's not under investigation for alleged ties to Russia. In an interview with NBC's Nightly News, Trump saying he received the assurance from former FBI Director James Comey. Trump says he fired Comey this week because he just wants somebody who is, quote, competent, end quote, in the job.
He's a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil. You know that. I know that. It was in virtual turmoil less than a year ago. It hasn't recovered from that.
He called Comey also a showboat. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is now putting a timeline to President Trump's decision on whether to leave the Paris Climate Accord. He did, however, sign an agreement Thursday recognizing that landmark Paris Accord at a meeting of Arctic nations in Alaska. Tillerson is one of the Trump advisors who supports, in part, staying in the Paris Agreement. The suspect is in custody after allegedly killing an Arkansas deputy sheriff and 2 others. James Bowden surrendered after a 5-hour standoff. Mistakes by Boeing mechanics could have led to one of its planes in the Air Force One fleet catching fire in mid-flight in April of 2016. An incident report released by the Air Force this week says the oxygen system on board one of 2 aircraft in use was contaminated when the plane was undergoing maintenance at a Boeing plant in San Antonio, Texas. Passengers on board a United Airlines flight from Houston to Ecuador getting over a bit of the creepy crawlies this morning after a scorpion was found in the clothing of one of the passengers. Last night's flight was delayed on the ground while medics looked over that passenger, and a search for the critter was conducted. Crews on the scene of a fire on Chicago's South Side mopping up this morning near 82nd and Drexel. A Lake County judge is refusing to dismiss money laundering charges against Melody Glinowitz, wife of the disgraced former Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz. And the race for school board in Rockford may not be over yet. The Winnebago County Clerk yesterday said she's trying to see if she miscounted on Election Day. Brandy Brown and Anthony Dixon tied with 167 votes each after the April election. Dixon won a tiebreaker by pulling a higher card out of a deck. Now the clerk says Brown may have actually won on Election Day. The judge will likely end up deciding what to do next. Cubs open up a 3-game set with the rival Cardinals tonight at Busch Stadium. White Sox move on to the Padres, being beaten by the Twins 7-6. The news, a service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. They offer running gear to their guests. Why? It's not to help you race to catch your flight. It's so you can pack less and work out more while on the road, because they know what a runaround travel can be. Westin Workout Gear Lending. Westin, let's rise. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager wonders where all you conservative voters are.
They must be very frustrated on the left. They've taken over the news media. They've taken over the entertainment media. They've taken over elementary schools, high schools, colleges, and postgraduate. They've taken over much of religion. And all these people are still voting Republican. And Donald Trump is president.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Townstone Financial is synonymous with great rates, low closing costs, and phenomenal service to the thousands who have completed purchases and refinances with us since 2002. Hi, my name is Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
With my house here in Chicago, you guys did my first mortgage, and then we just did the second one on a refi. You told me, hey, I can get your rates down and have zero out-of-pocket costs. I'm like, okay, why not? It's been an amazing process. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't believe in you guys. You guys are amazing from the beginning to the end, from the communication, replies are within like 10, 20 minutes if, you're not in another phone call or something, signing all the paperwork, it's just on point.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111, or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
6:35. Let's get an update on the roads this morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Telemonti.
Thanks, Mike. On Chicago's west side, California Avenue is closed. Between Washington and Madison, police are conducting a homicide investigation. Eden's inbound. Slow Niles Center to the junction. 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 21. Inbound Kennedy, 28 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 11 from Montrose. 8 in the Express. Outbound 23 minutes downtown to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower. Delays are from Wolf to Des Plaines Avenue and Independence into downtown. 51 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 31. Inbound Stevenson, an hour and 16 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour 4 from the Tri-State. Outbound 36 minutes to 355. Bryan is 32 minutes from 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams Tollway very heavy from Manheim Line to the Kennedy after a crash at Canfield. Traffic service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. It's 5% on all purchases in-store or online. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. A sunny day ahead today. High near 68. Clear to partly cloudy and 45 overnight. Beautiful day tomorrow. Clouds and sun and 75. It will be a little cooler than that lakeside. 48 and sun at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560. Explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
Buy your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, a few minutes ago, we played a clip from the House floor where, as the end of the Illinois General Assembly session nears, the end of this month, you had House Democrats working diligently to set up those interchamber sporting events, the softball and basketball games between the House and the Senate.
And, of course, you need cheerleaders, too.
Pom-poms.
So
Pom-pom
the female
girls.
lawmakers are, getting the squad back together, deciding what they're going to wear, what routine they're going to work on. It's fascinating stuff.
If Barbara Flynn Curry tries to cheer during one of those games, she will disintegrate into a pile of dust.
Well, I heard that she's on top of the pyramid this year.
God, please.
And the little
Please cover that up. But that's not all they're doing. No, they're also looking to try and put gun shops out of business. So, you Chicago Democrats, it's the old story of the scorpion and the frog. It's just their nature. They don't do anything to quell violent crime in Chicago, so they have to blame suburban gun shops. Richard M. Daley was an impresario at this. You got Father Flagler, and now you got Senator Don Harmon, a socialist from Oak Park, who's advanced legislation called the Gun Dealer Licensing Act. And for more on what that act would do from an actual practitioner in the space, we're pleased to be joined by Dan Eldridge, who is the owner of Maxon's Shooter Supplies and Indoor Range in Des Plaines. Dan, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, John. Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is their nature. They just can't help themselves. Illinois passed this hot mess of a bill at the end of April by a single vote, and it will be heard in the House next week, at least in committee.
So what does it mean?
What it means is state control of what we do, how we operate our business. So what will it do in terms of stopping the mayhem in Chicago? Absolutely nothing. The gangbangers do not buy their firearms from firearm dealers. That's proven time and time again. Surveys of Cook County inmates, so on and so forth. But what it will also do is it will harass legitimate law-abiding dealers and law-abiding gun owners a lot.
But now Senator Harmon says they have traced back to 3 suburban gun shops, 17% of the guns used in the commission of crimes. And so all they want to do is set up a licensing board to oversee the operation of gun shops in Illinois. That will be comprised of stakeholders from a range of perspectives and, just to try and ensure that suburban gun shops like yours aren't selling guns to criminals that use them to commit crimes.
Well, like most propagandists, they say things that sound on the surface perfectly reasonable, or as they like to say, commonsensical. But the reality is they're misleading people, and they know they're misleading people. When they say a gun is traced back to a dealer, all that's telling you is where that gun was originally purchased when it was new, period. It does not tell you whether the gun was recovered at a crime scene, legally possessed, illegally possessed, what have you. These guns that are recovered in crime scenes are an average of 9 to 13 years old. 90+% of them were obtained illegally by criminals. So this is the equivalent of holding a car dealer responsible for a DWI fatality 10 years later by somebody who bought the car used. It has absolutely nothing to do with my business or my customers.
So with this bill, they're simply trying to drive you out of business. What can you do to protect yourself? How can you fight back?
We are encouraging our customers and customers across the state, voters across the state, to contact your state representative. Tell him or her that you oppose SB 1657, gun dealer licensing. The other side has slick propaganda. They've got slick social media. They've got all the Bloomberg money, but they don't have our numbers. There's 2.1 million gun owners in Illinois, and I'm very, very optimistic that our message is being heard in Springfield.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, that not that anything should be taken for granted given the climate in this state and the Democrats in charge in both chambers of the General Assembly, but Governor Ronner is going to veto this bill if it would get out of the House and get to his desk, and they're not going to have the votes to override it. So this is, I don't think, going to become law, and thank goodness you have a Republican governor like Ronner who respects the individual Second Amendment rights of Illinois residents. That's one thing to consider as you think about 2018. But I wanted to go to something on this, too, because, as you talked about, the Orwellian nature of the rhetoric used and the descriptions applied to legislation. Gun dealer licensing board, all we want to do is a little bit of licensing, a little bit of oversight. Dan, tell us about what kind of licensing and oversight a federally licensed firearm dealer has and goes through to maintain.
Sure. Right now, every dealer principal, every dealer owner, it has a thorough background check that's conducted by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives, ATF. It's conducted with the FBI. It is a thorough, in-depth background check. Every employee at my shop who has access to firearms or ammunition possesses a FOID card. Most possess a concealed carry permit. These all are layers of background checks. There's no more background checking that you can do, and frankly, calling for more background checks is just simply a waste of scarce law enforcement resources. The Illinois State Police does not have unlimited people or time. They have real work to do. This feel-good make work just simply squanders scarce resources from the state police.
And speaking of police, Des Plaines Police Department recently described your gun store as a fortress, right?
Right. A couple of dingalings tried to break in one night, and they got away with a box of cardboard. Congratulations. We take security very seriously. This is a serious business, and we take the business very seriously. We don't need a panel from the state government telling us how to run our business.
Now, on the other side, too, so we talked about the regulations that you're under as an owner-operator licensed dealer. Now, I just recently purchased a few more weapons to add to my arsenal from Gat Guns out in Dundee, no offense. And, just tell us the paperwork and the background that a customer goes through, because even though I have a law degree, I felt like I needed an attorney present to fill out all of the paperwork I had to fill out in my last purchase. So just speak to that a bit, if you would.
Sure. We don't have instant background checks in Illinois. And while it's somewhat inconvenient to buyers, it actually provides a nice opportunity for the dealer to make sure that the paperwork is correct. An individual walks into a shop. First, they have to possess a FOID card if they're going to purchase a firearm. They choose their firearm, fill out the ATF form 4473, which has all sorts of identifying information on it, a questionnaire. One of the questions on the questionnaire is, are you buying this firearm for another person? They have to check that box appropriately. That paper is retained by the gun shop for the entire life of the gun shop. The Illinois State Police will then run a background check on the individual until we get a positive answer back from the state police. We will not release the gun. We will not complete the sale to anyone who has not gotten the okay from the Illinois State Police on a background check. Handguns, mandatory 3-day wait. Long guns, mandatory 1-day wait.
So is it harder to fill out a mortgage application or to fill out an application for a firearm?
Right.
That's a great question.
Yeah, this legislation, like you've seen before, I'm sure, as you pay attention to this stuff because it directly impacts your business. What would it do for gun shop owners like you in terms of the operation of your business? Because I've heard from other gun shop owners who are smaller say basically this would the requirements of this legislation would put me out of business? Be specific, if you would.
Sure. We would estimate, just in talking with the Office of Professional Licensing in Springfield and the governor's office, the best estimates are the license itself would be about $5,000, which is going to put a lot of the smaller people, they're just not going to find it worth doing it at that point. But what's worse is they set up a board of 5 people, at least 3 of whom, more likely 4 of whom, have an axe to grind against guns. This board is what's setting all of the rules and standards. None of this is set in the act, so everything in here is to be determined. Well, okay, if they've just created an open framework, we have to assume it's going to be as bad as possible. Given a Democrat administration in the future, you have to assume the worst. So they set what our security needs to look like. They set training requirements for our staff. The chief law enforcement officer or county sheriff has to give me a permission slip to operate. All of these things add up, and on the surface, again, like any propaganda, they sound perfectly reasonable and common sense. But what if the board said, well, we think that 10 hours a week of training is essential to the safe operation of a gun shop? We have no recourse. They've suspended all of the due process for these sorts of licensing hearings. Unlimited complaints, anonymous complaints, and we can't answer with evidence that, no, we're not breaking the law. We have to go down to Springfield and sit before this board with an attorney. They can basically bleed anyone to death with this law.
I mean, for the smaller operators, even a requirement for on the security system piece of it could put you out of business. It could be in the tens of thousands of dollars.
We have to, under the law, every transaction must be videotaped. Every 4473 being filled out must be videotaped. And the videotape must be retained for 90 days on premises. So no cloud storage, no nothing. I don't know if you've ever worked with video surveillance before, but anything of reasonable quality, 90 days is a gargantuan amount of data. And, yeah, that would for sure put a lot of people out of the game.
All right, Dan Eldridge, the owner of Maxon's Shooter Supplies and Indoor Range and Displays. He penned a piece on this topic for the Chicago Tribune, if you want to check that out as well. Again, it's Senate Bill 1657, the so-called Gun Dealer Licensing Act, if you want to contact your state reps as it moves from the Senate over to the House. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you both.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Diva, Dan Proft, what kind of pieces did you buy?
Don't mess with my guns.
Oh, that's right. Wait, I'm not supposed to look at you or talk to you between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. because
talk about my guns.
Dan Proft's list of demands have been published on the smoking gun. Yes, I am working with a diva. Looks like I'm the man here in this project, huh?
And hat tip to Ann B. Davis's bowling ball for his investigative work.
Today, plenty of sunshine. Oh, it's out there. Just a beautiful Friday, a high of 68 degrees. Saturday, another picture-perfect day. Plenty of sunshine, a few high clouds, 75. And on Mother's Day, the best day of the year. Oh, by the way, you'll be giving me my gift at 8:45 this morning, right? Sure.
It's a trip to a certain island.
Wait for it. Sunday, we're a high of 71 degrees. Let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center. A man who's going to give gifts to his loving wife this weekend. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Absolutely. The boys and I have been working hard, somewhat. Got a little more to do. Inbound Eisenhower right now. It's rough sledding. Right now from Thorndale on the extension, actually on 53 down to just past 355. There's a crash there in the right lane. Then it's really heavy as well from Manheim into downtown Chicago. It's an hour and 3 minutes Thorndale to the post office, 46 minutes from Manheim. Outbound just 33 minutes downtown to Thorndale. The Stevenson's even worse, an hour and 15 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour 3 from the Tri-State. Outbound 42 minutes to 355. Eden's 23 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Kennedy, 33 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. The Ryan is 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow 95th to the Mile Long Bridge. The Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are fairly light. Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. President Trump calling for protection from cyber attacks. General Motors extending warranties on older car headlights. JCPenney financials being released. Those stories next. Are you being intimidated by the IRS? Rapid Resolution Tax Group is a team of tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and tax professionals who've helped thousands of people with problems just like yours, and they promise not to let the IRS intimidate you. If you are an individual or business who owes at least $10,000 to the IRS, you can turn to them for help. Has your bank account been levied? Do you have years of unfiled tax returns? Let Rapid Resolution Tax Group intervene for you. They're accredited with and A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and they guarantee same-day contact with the IRS. If you qualify, Rapid Resolution Tax Group can work towards settling your tax debt for less, removing penalties and fees, and stopping levies and garnishments. Call the professionals at Rapid Resolution Tax Group at 800-601-2929. That's 800-601-2929. President Trump has signed an executive order. That order designed to keep the U.S. safer from cyber attacks. The order calls for modernization and improvement in the nation's computer networks. The president pledged early in his administration to strengthen protection of computer systems and networks. Ahead this morning, JCPenney rounding out a week of quarterly reports among retailers, the Commerce Department reporting on retail sales and business inventories, and the Consumer Price Index for April reported as well. General Motors extending the warranty on thousands of older model cars and SUVs. That extension goes to 12 years or 150,000 miles after receiving complaints that headlights can suddenly go dark. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Oh, we're chatting over here. The school year is rapidly coming to an end, and maybe you're looking back at this past year and you aren't too happy with your child's school experience. Well, now is the perfect, I like playing. Now is the perfect time. They have a great volleyball coach, I heard. Now is the perfect time to start thinking about doing something different this fall. Don't send your kid back to school that you just aren't happy with. Start thinking about sending your child to a private school, and that's where halfpriceschools.com comes in. At halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase a tuition voucher for a full year at, you guessed it, half the price with no catch. So find a school near you. There's private schools in Mount Prospect, Romeoville, Kankakee, Antioch, Downers Grove, Chicago, just to name a few. So make private schools affordable for your family for the first time this year. But don't wait. These vouchers always sell out. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. The LASIK Vision Institute is now offering dramatically low prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology for a fraction of what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-400-4098. Even better, call right now and you can get an extra 20% discount off our already low-cost services. We've already performed over 1 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve at a fraction of what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-400-4098. 1-800-400-4098. 1-800-400-4098.
Scoundrels are not exclusive to politics. They're smart enough to occupy necessity service industries like the automotive business. As a real estate broker, my car is a lifeline and a total necessity to my business and my family, which is why I had to seek out an honest, truthful auto service provider. For over the past decade, I've put my trust in Craigies Mobile Service Center on Lake Street in Addison. Craigies handles full auto repair on foreign and domestic vehicles. They pride themselves on providing you the best cost-effective auto repair and expert advice. Craigies has full service bays and truck lifts that can service and manage your whole fleet. They also provide priority service for your business and can track each vehicle, alerting you to the repair before you need it, keeping your guys on the road. Since 1959, Craigies Mobile Service Center has thrived through 10 presidential administrations, giving you reputable, dependable, and honest auto repair. Do yourself a favor. Just go into Craigies on Lake Street in Addison. See my guy Vic. He'll set you up. Tell him Sean from Elmwood Park sent you. I approve of this message.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs, with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices, and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yay, Dan is letting me play. So I never watched Stephen Colbert and that whatever show he's on CBS, but he's been trolling Donald Trump, and Donald Trump took the bait. Okay, stop singing. Okay, I know you have a great voice over there.
Yeah.
Diva Dan Proft. Donald Trump took the bait and finally tweeted back at Stephen Colbert, and Stephen Colbert, he just described perfectly it was why he's been trolling him for so long.
The President of the United States has personally come after me and my show, and there's only one thing to say. Don't you know I've been trying for a year to get you to say my name? And you were very restrained, admirably restrained, but now you did it. I won. And you're not wrong. I do occasionally use adult language, and I do it in public instead of in the privacy of an Access Hollywood bus. And it's true, the night you appeared on this show right over there, it was very highly rated. In fact, the only episode that got better ratings was the night I had Jeb Bush on. That's right. You got beat by low-energy Jeb.
Wow, didn't move the needle over there at all.
Yawn.
For the Diva Dan Proft.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Brett Baier. Forget the special prosecutor. Why not just refer this to the House Judiciary Committee at 7:07?
But first, here's Mike Scott.
WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump calls James Comey a grandstander and a showboat, saying the FBI director's firing was the right thing for the Bureau and the American people. The president also says again stories about his campaign colluding with the Russian government to influence the election are made up, and he wants the investigation into that done properly. More from Fox's Rachel Sutherland in D.C.
Chris, he would have fired him anyway. President Trump told NBC News his decision to remove James Comey as head of the FBI was not based solely on the recommendation of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
Regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it.
White House officials had said earlier the president acted on the recommendation. Former Obama Justice Department spokesman Matthew Miller tweeted that Comey left a protective paper trail at the FBI whenever he deemed something inappropriate happened, adding, "Stay tuned." Chris?
Okay, Rachel, thanks. Under President Obama, the Justice Department directed federal prosecutors to ease up on nonviolent drug crimes. Well, today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is directing U.S. attorneys to pursue the most serious charges possible in most cases. That means more mandatory minimum sentences. A small bomb has exploded in Rome.
Police say the blast was caused by a handmade bomb placed between two parked cars near a post office entrance. There was panic and smoke at first, but no one was injured. Only one car damaged. Police officer Massimo Impronto on Sky Italy here saying that it was set to cause fear, not harm, and similar to the small explosions caused by the radical left anarchists in the past. Another alarm this morning in front of the FAO United Nations building, but the suspected bomb turned out to be an abandoned sack of sand. In Rome, Courtney Walsh, Fox News.
A plan to expand a carry-on laptop, computer, and tablet ban to flights to the U.S. from Europe is being discussed today between Homeland Security and European transportation officials. This is Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
48 degrees, partly sunny skies this morning. 7:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Crews mopping up on the scene of a fire on Chicago's South Side. Blaze began early this morning in a 3-story building near 82nd and Drexel. Governor Rauner apparently siding with a group of people who booed him during the commencement ceremony at Chicago State. Of course, the boos erupted yesterday when the governor was introduced. Later in the day, the governor said he shared in the crowd's frustration.
I share their frustration. This system is broken. I am totally with them. I'd love to boo our system as well.
Chicago police are warning people after 2 elderly women were carjacked this week on the South Side. The incidents happened near 93rd and South Ashland. In each case, a man steals the victim's purse and then the vehicle. The next U.S. ambassador to Kenya may be from the state of Illinois. The Republican congressional delegation yesterday is suggesting that State Senator Kyle McCarter get the job. McCarter spent years working in Kenya with nonprofits and has deep relationships with local leaders there. McCarter says he's honored just to be considered for the job. Most existing dining options at Chicago's Midway Airport are about to shut down. 21 of the airport's restaurants, bars, and cafes will shutter over a 9-day period beginning on Friday. The closures will make way for new venues as part of a $75 million concession area renovation. The overhaul is part of a larger project to modernize the airport announced by Mayor Rahm Emanuel back in 2015. Only Riley's Daughter's Pub, Gold Coast Dogs, and Nuts on Clark will remain. Cubs open up a 3-game set with the rival Cardinals tonight at Busch. Twins build up an early lead and hold on to beat the White Sox 7-6. The news, a service of Discover Student Loans. Figuring out how to cover college costs, Discover Student Loans, one of the top private student loan lenders in the country with great rates, 0 fees, plus students can earn a cash reward for their good grades. Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Looks like some cable and phone companies are trying to sell home security. But when a burglar sees one of their signs in the front yard, what does it say? Oh, wow, this home has 599 channels. Or, oh, these guys have high-speed internet. But the ADT sign, it says, this family trusts the company whose name means security. So beat it. It's no wonder 5 times more people choose ADT to protect their homes.
Learn more at ADT.com and to see licensing and terms and conditions.
The Can-Am Spyder Ready to Ride sales event is here. Shop now and experience the thrill and freedom of the open road this summer. Can-Am Spyder's unique Y-frame design lets you take on every twist and turn with stability and comfort. Hop on one and turn every day into an adventure. Shop now and save up to $3,500 on select 2016 models. Find your ultimate thrill ride at a great price.
Visit iMotorsports in Elmhurst or online at iMotorsportsinc.com.
Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
You hear me talk about MyPillow all the time, but that's because a good night's sleep is so important to our health. For May, you can still receive the 50% discount on the MyPillow 4-pack, 2 premium MyPillows, and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. What I love about MyPillow is you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless if you sleep on your back or side. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No more waking up to a stiff neck or headache. What's great is our friend Mike Lindell manufactures them right here in America using American labor. You can wash and dry your MyPillow, and they are hypoallergenic. And of course, you'll get the 10-year warranty with a 60-day money-back guarantee. For May, get 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code AMY or visit mypillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code AMY.
7:06. Let's get an update on your ride to work this morning. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Got a big jam on southbound 53 and the inbound Eisenhower from Thorndale to just past 355. The left and right lanes are blocked with a crash there. There are vehicles on both sides. And the Ike also has delays. 25th into Sacramento. It is an hour and 11 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 49 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 37 to Thorndale. And that situation on 53 has eastbound 390 backed up to Plum Grove. The Edens is 22 minutes from Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 23. The Kennedy, 42 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 19 from Montrose, 15 in the Express, outbound 32 to the airport. Stevenson, an hour and 12 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 minutes. The Ryan is 36 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays are from 95th to the Mile Long Bridge, the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Northbound Veterans Memorial, Slow Lake to 290. We see delays on 8094, eastbound Clay to Ripley, westbound I-65 to Broadway. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
For today, a blend of sun and some clouds, high getting up to 68. Later tonight, it will turn out to be mainly clear with a low 45, and we'll have a mix of clouds and sun again tomorrow with a high 75. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
47 at O'Hare, 49 along the lakefront. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering. Company picnics taste better with TastyCatering.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We'll get to Comey, but I'll tell you, this story is being underreported this week because of the Comey firing and the appearance yesterday of the acting FBI director before the Senate committee. And that's Aetna withdrawing individual market plans in Nebraska and Delaware, meaning Aetna is out of the Obamacare exchanges altogether. Aetna, that was the leading industry cheerleader for Obamacare in 2009 and 2010. Humana has left the exchanges altogether. Anthem is edgy. In Maryland, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is requesting average premium increases for 2018 as high as 59%. You have Democrats instructing Republicans to discourage the ongoing effort by Trump to destabilize the Obamacare marketplace. This is consistent with what Jonathan McGruber there said, blaming Trump for Obamacare's implosion. The implosion is happening as has been predicted by anybody who understands Econ 101 for some time now. It's happening. It's been happening. And to me, this should encourage the Senate Republicans to move with alacrity on Obamacare Replace 2.0. But my sense is that's not the case, and are Republicans putting themselves in the worst of all possible worlds? A plan that moved out of the House that's not wildly popular right now. It hasn't been particularly well sold. And then a 2018 cycle where you're going to be without plans because you didn't move Obamacare Replace to the president's desk in time for these health insurance providers to understand the new landscape for 2018 and offer plans into it. For more on this topic, as well as the Comey topic, we're pleased to be joined by Brett Baier, anchor of Special Report, of course, on Fox News Channel, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Also the author of the book, 3 Days in January, and Fox News Channel is going to present special live coverage this weekend to discover major news events surrounding Trump's decision to fire Comey, along with his upcoming trip overseas. Headlining the coverage will be our friend Brett Baier, who's going to broadcast a live weekend special of Special Report this Sunday, May 14th, 7 p.m. Central Time, Chicago time. During the hour, he's going to focus on the fallout of the Comey firing and the news of the day. Brett, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Morning. So if we could indulge me on Obamacare and the Senate Republicans' posture on moving a replacement bill that would ultimately pass, and then they confer with the House, and then they send something to the president.
Yeah, so I asked Speaker Ryan about that timeline, and, he, of course, is optimistic and thinks the Senate can move something out in 2 to 3 months. I think that's probably overly optimistic, thinking and hearing senators like Susan Collins and others saying they want to start from scratch and maybe a totally different construct than the House worked on. That's going to take some time. And you're right, because of the Aetna move, and because premiums, they'll set the new premiums this fall, and they're not going to go down in this current environment because the marketplaces are smaller, and these insurance companies have lost hundreds of millions of dollars, which is why they're pulling out. Short of subsidizing the insurance companies, which this president is not going to do, I think you're going to have a collision course in the fall. And that means, you're right, despite the fact that it's still called Obamacare and despite the fact that Democrats have been defending it for years, it's Republicans who are in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House, and therefore they'll be holding the old maid card come the 2018 elections if they don't do something.
So when do you think we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a full repeal in the end, but I think there will be a major gutting and fixing, and it would have to happen this year, if not at the August recess, then in the fall cycle. But remember, they're doing tax reform at the same time,
right?
And the other thing they need to do is move health care so that they can use the savings from the repeal and replace to bring down tax rates to the 15% corporate tax rate that Donald Trump wants.
Right, and now they got to get a new FBI director, too. And on that score, one of the regular panelists in your show, Charles Krauthammer, of course, said basically believe no one with respect to Comey's firing. But getting beyond the competing messages and rationales, if the Trump administration wants to move this investigation to conclusion, as some have argued, why not just kick it to House Judiciary, where any impeachment would start, have them investigate it, and draw a conclusion and be done with this thing already?
Well, I think that's, one of the things that could happen. You remember, you have 3 investigations concurrently. You have the House Intelligence Committee that got stirred up when Devin Nunes stepped aside, but now Mike Conway is in charge, and they're working through it with Adam Schiff. Then you've got the Senate Intelligence, where you saw the hearing yesterday, and then you have the FBI counterterrorism investigation. So, I think the thought about special prosecutors getting pushed back on by Republicans, because 1, they don't think it's necessary and it's a waste of money and time, but 2, special prosecutors in the past have started out looking at A and ended up at W, X, Y,
right.
Z. Yeah.
So yesterday, Charles Krauthammer also said that it looked pretty improper that President Trump asked Comey about the investigation when they had their dinner in January. Trump allegedly at that same dinner demanded Comey's loyalty, but only received a pledge for honesty. Does this sit well with you that these two met and that this interchange happened?
Well, the meeting is fine. The asking if I'm under investigation, I guess it's the president's prerogative. But for someone who made a big deal out of the Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac because of the appearance of impropriety, there is an appearance of Comey at dinner looking to keep his job and then gets asked, let me think about that. So are you investigating me? Is just a little, you can't write that stuff.
Right, although, of course, the difference is that Hillary Clinton was under investigation at the time, and that was not in dispute. And of course, Bill Clinton knew that. She's the Attorney General, and this is...
Well, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are distinctions to be made here, not to mention...
But he was asking if he was under investigation.
Yeah, if you can tell me, am I under investigation? That is different than the Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton meeting, because...
No, you're right.
It's completely different.
It's not apples and apples.
In addition...
It's not apples and apples.
In addition...
Let me ask you
go ahead, I'm sorry.
This whole thing about is he under investigation is really quite something. I mean, think about all the leaks that we've had. We have not had a single leak that has definitive evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Right.
We've had leaks about everything. There's not been one leak about, hard evidence of this collusion. And he told Trump, according to President Trump, that he was not under investigation. Not only that, but he told Senator Grassley and Senator Feinstein the same thing. Now, the Trump campaign is under investigation, and thereby, he's the head of the Trump campaign. But as far as being a specific target, he told multiple people that was not the case.
Well, right, and then now one of the arguments being made from some in the Democrat circles is obstruction of justice. Well, McCabe's testifying yesterday before Senate Intelligence. Has anybody contacted you from the Trump administration about the Russian collusion investigation? No. So, I mean, at some point, Democrats have to prove up these charges they're bandying about, and that's why I kind of that the House Judiciary Committee idea had some appeal to me, because it's like, let's drive to the conclusion of this thing. Go wherever it goes, and either prove up something related to these charges or shut up.
Yeah, and I think that's the administration's wish. I agree with you. I thought McCabe was very forthright and kind of straightforward, and he answered a whole slew of things. One, that yes, agents were mad about the Clinton decision. Two, they had broad support for Comey, opposite what the White House said. Three, there was no request for additional resources.
Yes.
He doesn't need additional resources at all. Four, there's been no impeding of the investigation. And if there is, he will tell the Senate. But there hasn't been.
Yeah, and one other thing on that, too. So the New York Times was reporting from anonymous sources, of course, that this request was made. The Department of Justice denied that. McCabe denied it yesterday. So, this is the New York. The New York Times with these anonymous sources, like they're contending, provided a transcript of what was asked and answered at the dinner. Maybe there should be some skepticism applied to that reporting with their anonymous sources.
There's not only that, but they said Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, had threatened to resign.
Yeah.
He was asked yesterday specifically, did you threaten to resign? He said, no, I never threatened to resign.
Those are big differences. That's 180 degrees.
I mean, that's like, what?
Right.
And, the New York Times had it as 30 sources tell us.
Right.
I mean, it's really amazing.
All right, so this weekend you have special edition of Special Report, Sunday, May 14th at 7 p.m. Who are you going to have on your show?
I don't know, but it's going to be special.
That's why they give you that name for the show, as it always is. Yeah, he is Brett Baier. I'm sorry.
It'll be a cornucopia of news, I'm sure.
That's the best kind of news.
I had that for dinner last night.
Brett Baier, host of Special Report Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Now, also this Sunday, May 14th, a special report, 7 p.m. Chicago time on the fallout from the Comey firing. Brett, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
He's the best. And he joined us on our turnkey Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Oh, just a wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead, that's for sure. Mostly sunny today, a high of 68 degrees. Saturday looks great, partly sunny skies, a high of 75. And on Sunday for Mother's Day, it's going to be mostly sunny, a high of 71. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. On Chicago's west side, California is closed between Washington and Maypole. Police are conducting a homicide investigation. After an overnight incident, the Edens runs 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose outbound 27. The Kennedy, delay starting at Cumberland, now 53 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 33. The Eisenhower, an hour and 3 minutes Thorndale to downtown, 44 minutes from Mannheim, outbound 42 to Thorndale. It's really jammed on southbound 53 with a crash on the inbound Ike near Mill Road. And so those delays start around Beesterfield on southbound 53. It's also backing up 390 to Plum Grove. And then inbound Ike, an hour and 3 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 42 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 12 minutes, 355 to the drive, outbound 42 minutes. The Ryan is 36 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Veterans Memorial, still Army Trail to 290 due to that crash on the inbound Ike. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, the Bolingbrook Golf Club, it is the location of our annual golf outing this year, sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But there's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Treat the mom in your life to a champagne brunch on Mother's Day at the Bolingbrook Golf Club from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Make your reservations for Mother's Day right now. Visit BolingbrookGolfClub.com for all the details. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
It worked for me. I need it in the afternoon. I wear down. I'm 84. And in the afternoon, I sort of slow down. I take my Balance of Nature and it picks me right up.
Knowing that I'm getting my fruits and vegetables, I feel better.
I have a blood disease, but I've been taking this, and I really don't bleed as much as I used to either. That in itself, to me, is a miracle. I will continue to buy Balance of Nature. The best thing that Dr. Howard ever did was make these pills.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get the best offer they've ever given. 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
When you get in your car, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get to where you want to be. The same is true for retirement. You need a voice to guide you along the way. And in Chicago, that voice is Jack Taboda. Join Jack every Saturday morning at 7 right here on 560 The Answer. Jack's nearly 40 years of experience can help make your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take that first step. Tune in Saturday mornings at 7 for retirement planning with Jack Taboda of Taboda and Associates.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, you know how we're supposed to find common ground, middle ground, get out of our bubbles and
reach out to the other side.
Yeah. Phoenix Trump Nazi billboard funded with taxpayer dollars. A billboard that went up in Phoenix. You see this one?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. It shows Trump with swastikas that look like dollar signs, mushroom clouds behind him. He's got a Russian flag lapel pin on. And this was commissioned by Phoenix area arts advocate, paid by the city of Phoenix.
The city of Phoenix paid for this?
Paid in part by the city of Phoenix to, quote-unquote, diminish barriers thanks to Judicial Watch and being on the stick. They FOIA'd the financing of this billboard. The media, this was back in March, it went up. The media reported that on the billboard, of course, and Karen Fiorito is the artist, quote-unquote, and all the news reports were about the death that she received, and What was not reported, in addition to her tirade where Ms. Fiorito calls Trump supporters scumbags and says the country is on a very dangerous path towards total annihilation. Yeah, of course.
The city I think they're accepting his win. This is how they're processing reality. Okay.
The city of Phoenix awarded the billboard owner, and again, this figure in the arts community in Phoenix, thousands of dollars in grants for a program she runs called Grand Avenue Arts and Preservation, which encompasses the art festival where the Trump Nazi billboard made its debut. So the billboard owners being financed with taxpayer dollars and commissioning artists like Miss Fiorito to come up with these, Trump is a Nazi corporatist who's going to annihilate the planet billboard for Phoenix area residents to enjoy. So again, I just like kind of with your friends at the Nasty Women Art Chicago event, individuals like this, tell me where we're going to find that common ground. Where are we going to have that thoughtful discussion?
I would be out of my mind if my tax dollars went to a billboard like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's not out of the realm of possibilities in Chicago either.
And I would be out of my, I obviously I'd be opposed to this if it was Barack Obama or any Democrat too. It's a private billboard owner. This is an artist. Why should people be forced to finance any of this on either side? But again, the left,
they have different rules.
And then they have their press agents for big government where they also have different rules, and they're uninterested in pursuing stories or pursuing the gathering of information that, say, an independent organization like Judicial Watch does to follow the money, which is, by the way, kind of one of the baseline, as you know, one of the baseline questions in journalism. You understand why something is happening, what's happening, always follow the money, right? But when it comes to the left or prosecuting Trump, a shoulder shrug. Let's just join in the celebration. So, you keep in that bubble, Miss Fiorito and gang there in Phoenix, because it got punctured in 2016, and it's going to be punctured again.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
That's Lisbeth. She doesn't know it, but she owes her life to a change in public opinion. Our younger generation of women is turning the tide of public opinion concerning abortion. The most recent statistics show that more women facing unwanted pregnancies are choosing life compared to 15 years ago. Many wonder why, if a pregnant woman and her unborn child are murdered, it's a double homicide. Yet they ask, why isn't abortion a crime? More women now value life, even if their unwanted child is to be placed for adoption, because they may feel like they can never forgive themselves of an abortion, even if the law does. Lake County Right to Life, helping young women choose courage over convenience. LCRTL.org. That's LCRTL.org. Visit Lake County Right to Life on Twitter and Facebook, or call 847-223-7022.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And you've heard us talking about the 100 Club of Chicago, the charity we're supporting through our annual golf outing coming up on June 15th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club.
The 100 Club's mission is to support the families of fallen first responders, cops, firefighters, and EMTs through financial and educational assistance.
And we want to tell you about how you can join us in supporting this great organization by becoming an AM 560 business benefactor.
When you purchase a foursome at our golf outing for $1,196, you will receive 25 60-second commercials to air right here on AM 560. That's a $3,000 advertising package.
You'll be reaching AM 560's large and growing audience of affluent, sophisticated decision makers with your marketing message. And at the same time, you're supporting the families of fallen first responders.
Pick up the phone right now and call Michael Mann at 847-871-1527. That's 847-871-1527, and tell him you want to become a business benefactor. That number again, 847-871-1527.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
our latest exclusive analysis of property taxes regionally. Chicago's North Side. We'll find out how Amy's home is doing in Lakeview. And A bunch of aldermen want to bring affordable housing to wards on the north and northwest side, Amy, like including your ward and your alderman. Affordable housing.
Section 8 housing?
That's what affordable housing is.
Or did you say affordable housing?
That's the euphemism. 737.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
48 degrees, partly sunny skies in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Some FBI officials have different accounts from Donald Trump about how a dinner meeting between the now-fired FBI Director James Comey and the president went down. Trump telling NBC yesterday that Comey had requested the White House meeting.
A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner. And he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll, consider. We'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner. And at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation, which I knew anyway.
Meantime, acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe is rejecting a White House claim that many in the FBI had lost faith in James Comey.
I can tell you also that Director Comey enjoyed broad support within the FBI and still does to this day.
That at a Senate hearing yesterday. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agent Derek Benner touting the success of a 6-week-long anti-gang operation.
I would like to congratulate the men and women of HSI and our law enforcement partners for this operation. Their efforts have provided 1,378 reasons why our communities are much safer today.
The numbers included 137 gang members affiliated with the Bloods and 104 with the Central American gang MS-13. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is ordering federal prosecutors to get tougher on crime suspects. A new memo out today in it, Sessions calls for prosecutors to pursue the most serious charges and the longest prison sentences possible, and in some cases bringing back mandatory minimum sentences. Loved ones are devastated after a Schaumburg woman who was reported missing last week was found dead in her vehicle. Police say Sheila Khalili was discovered yesterday morning inside a vehicle submerged in a pond near Olivet Nazarene University in Bourbonnais, where she was a nursing student. A Lake County judge refusing to dismiss money laundering charges against Melody Glinowitz, the wife of the disgraced former Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glinowitz. Cubs open up a 3-game set with the rival Cardinals tonight at Busch. Twins over the White Sox 7-6, and the Bears part way with veteran wideout Eddie Royal. The news service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. That's 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 7:33, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the damage the left has done to the black community.
The left is despicable. The damage it has done to black life is the greatest since slavery. Black communities had a dignity that has been robbed by the left because it is not dignified to see yourself as a perpetual victim.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at galaxyhome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Ament, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman and Ament and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman and Ament needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
7:35. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Southbound 53 has delays from Higgins Road down to the inbound Eisenhower near Mill Road. A crash there. Everything's moved to the right shoulder, but it's a pretty big backup, and it's causing a jam on eastbound 390 from Plum Grove to 53. And the inbound Eisenhower has those delays on the extension, and then more much of the way into downtown from Mannheim. We're looking at a travel time of an hour and 5 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 45 minutes from Mannheim, outbound 42 minutes to Thorndale. The Edens is 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound it's 27 minutes. The Kennedy, 53 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 33. Stevenson, an hour and 15 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 46 minutes. The Rhine is 35 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Tri-State southbound, slow 120 to 137. Northbound, 95th to the Mile Long Bridge. From the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and the Reagan-Silhouette to North Avenue. Traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil is on sale for a great price, $5.79 a quart. Keeping your ride running longer, stronger for less. That's Napa know-how. General States pricing, sale prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunny skies today, 68. 45 and clear overnight, clouds and sun. 75 tomorrow, currently 50 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy is opposing Section 8 housing and the push for more of it coming to a community near you. Is that racist? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-360A, turnkey.pro text line. I ask because I think that's why so many are afraid to speak out against it, knowing what Section 8, quote-unquote, affordable housing will do to their communities, knowing the history of 40 years of the Section 8 program and what it's done to places like Austin, like Roseland, like the south suburbs. And that apparently is uninteresting to a half dozen Chicago aldermen who had a news conference this past Wednesday. Joe Moore, John Arena, Deb Mell, Amaya Pawar, Amy.
Did someone say 47th Ward?
In a letter, they pledged to work with the Chicago Housing Authority, city leaders, and community orgs to build at least 50 CHA-sponsored apartments in each of their wards before their terms come to an end. And I love these lakefront libs. It's great they're putting 50 in these wards to destroy home value in their wards they represent. I want to see it especially on the lakefront. I want to see.
Oh, yeah. And in your ward.
Oh,
you
well.
Think Brendan Riley would allow that?
Up the lakefront, all the way to the Wisconsin border, all those North Shore communities. We should eminent domain those $1 million properties and put up wind farms, and whether it's vertical or horizontal Section 8 housing, because that's the policies they support. So they would, of course, welcome them in their communities, wouldn't they?
Remember when the liberals in my neighborhood didn't want Rosecrans Center to take over at Waveland and Ashland? Well, guess what? They've been there for almost a year, and guess what? No incidents. No crazy people attacking the children on the way to school. Everything's just fine.
Let me.
I mean, really, not. I'll have it, but when it comes to in my own backyard, no. That meeting was standing room only. Residents were turned away because people were protesting Rosecrans.
2000 piece in City Journal by Howard Husak. This is 17 years ago. In South suburban Chicago, with one of the highest concentrations of voucher holders, Section 8, in the country, middle-class African-American residents complained that they thought they left the ghetto behind, only to find that the federal government is subsidizing it to follow them. Vicky Perez of Richton Park, owner of Nubian Beauty Supply, fears that the small signs of disorder that have come with voucher tenants, the unmown lawns, shopping carts left in the street, could undermine the neighborhood. Their lifestyle, she says, doesn't blend with our suburban lifestyle. Kevin Moore, a hospital administrator and a homeowner in nearby Hazelcrest, complains that children in voucher homes go unsupervised. Boomboxes play late at night. I felt I was back on the west side, said Mr. Moore. You have to remember how to act tough. And so, but by the way, in the south suburbs, Section 8 the south suburbs absorbed 58% of the Cook County Housing Authority's vouchers when they started taking down the housing projects in the city.
Yeah, like Robert Taylor Homes.
And
I noticed as a reporter, we'd go, to Carpentersville all the time, and I noticed the same people from Robert Taylor Homes, and that's when I went, oh, it's Section 8 housing.
And what has happened to the Southland? What is South Suburban Cook County now? It's a demilitarized zone. Communities are destroyed. And this has happened in black neighborhoods too. Well, I mean, you're hearing 17 years ago from black families that moved to the south suburbs because they wanted to get out of the city. Only had to have the ghetto follow them, as that beauty supply owner said. 1981 Tribune piece. 1981.
Okay.
A dozen years ago, Roseland was almost entirely a white community, 75% Italian. That was in the late 60s when Chicago jammed black neighborhoods beset with street gangs, and a soaring rate of street violence began spilling over to neighborhoods like Roseland as working black families looked for decent houses and schools for their children. The transition of whole neighborhoods from white to black was quick, and it was complete. By 1974, Roseland was nearly 10% black, and that all happened basically in a few years. In 1974, Fenger, 5,300 students, the most overcrowded high school in the city. The new black residents formed a greater Roseland organization, went to work with the city, succeeding in getting several new elementary schools, 2 new high schools, and a college in the community. Today, Fenger has 2,300 students. That's in 1981. What does Fenger have today?
200 students?
Yeah, about, yeah.
200 students.
Yeah.
5,300. And they're keeping that school open. Why? So Mayor Emanuel doesn't lose the African-American vote?
The character, this is a Tribune report. The character of Roseland began to change, said Lenora Rogers, who was the leader of the Greater Roseland Organization at the time, 1981. In the late 70s, when the Federal Housing Authority began to offer homes in Roseland to unemployed with little or no down payment and virtually risk-free loans. The woman running the Greater Roseland Organization at the time. Within 3 years, we had hundreds of vacancies down here and problems. And this is a misprint. Hundreds of people down here and the problems those people brought with them. Street gangs, especially, which we never saw before until the last 12 months. But now you see evidence everywhere with graffiti and boys standing around in groups. The FHA program brought in large unemployed population, people who do not fit into the community. It wasn't a race thing. It was a lifestyle thing. It was people that are middle income and working and want to live in a safe neighborhood, and then you bring in people who don't. And it turns out the majority of black families want nice neighborhoods and good schools and safety just like anybody else. And then you have people that are lifelong dependents on the government. And within that universe, not all, not even majority, but within that universe, people that have no respect, because they were never taught any respect, for private property or anything or anybody else. And street gangs. And you know where that goes. These things happen in the snap of a fingers in the grand scheme of things in these communities on the south side and in the south suburbs. And you're talking about aldermen today continuing to push the same program. You think that the north side is insulated from this? Remember when we talked about property taxes in the south suburbs?
Yes.
And we talked about how a 1968 article where the richest communities in the Chicago metropolitan area, and it was the communities you'd expect that are still very wealthy today, Highland Park, Winnetka, Kenilworth.
Right.
And in the top 6, both Flossmoor and Olympia Fields.
Really?
1968. 15 years later, it was over. Now those communities are, one or two ticks above some of the demilitarized communities or communities that look like demilitarized zones in the Southland. I don't say that gleefully. I say that regretfully. What's happened. But connect the dots to terrible public policy that destroys the investments of productive people, that drives productive people out of their neighborhoods and communities. Connect the dots so you stop repeating it and you stop indulging politicians who want to because they understand that dependents are reliable votes. So the North Side, it's our latest, ChicagoCityWire.com. In 2014, Illinois State Comptroller Susana Mendoza and her husband paid $471,000 for their newly renovated 3,500 square foot 3-bedroom in Portage Park. 3 years later, the assessor currently values the home at $303,000, or 36% less than its 2014 sales price. 36% less in 3 years.
Oh, wow. I wonder how that happened. Maybe she's friends with Joe Barrios. Oh, wait, they are friends.
Mendoza's property tax bill, well she's taking a hammering, right? But here's the thing. Mendoza's property tax bill,
right,
about $5,000, which is 1% of that price. So
right, that's not.
That's actually under the state average. Now here's what's happening: city versus suburbs. This is important because the North Side, you have some communities that are actually have been insulated from the highest property tax burdens in the country, insulated from the destruction of home equity. So do a little compare here: Mendoza and Chicago versus some collar counties. In Lake County, a home 30% smaller than Mendoza's, 3,500 square feet, in Grays Lake, sold for 25% less in February. So she bought her home for $471,000. They sold their home for $380,000 in February. Has a tax bill more than double Mendoza's, $11,398. In McHenry County's Woodstock, $540,000 sale has a bill approaching $22,000 in property taxes. That's an effective rate of 4.3% of property value. In West Garfield Park, talking about minority communities, where we did in our West and South Side analyses, $471,000 home. That's the price that Mendoza paid, if there was such a thing in West Garfield Park. But per their property tax rate as a percentage of home value, which right now is 8.76%, which is 8 times the national average, that homeowner in West Garfield Park would pay $41,000 in property taxes. Mendoza is paying $5,000 in Portage Park. Do you want to understand the inequities of this scam we call the property tax system in Chicago and in Cook County and in Illinois? This is where you start to understand it. By the way, so on the North Side, and we did kind of the whole range of the North Side, median property tax bills rose in 36 of the 38 neighborhoods we looked at, while median sale prices fell in 31 of them. Now, there are some areas on the North Side that have seen an increase in property value over our period of review. Like North Center actually saw a 12% increase in their median home price over the last decade. So you have, a supply-demand thing. You have a little bit less elastic demand for housing in some of the better neighborhoods with better schools, and so they're able to stay above water even with property tax increases and rate increases. But that's not going to stay. That's not sustainable. And so even though people looking at our report who think, oh, well, it's not so bad, like Amy in Lakeview, you're down only 9% between 07 and 15.
Okay.
Whereas in Streeterville, where I live, we're down 29%.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not great.
Am I getting Section 8 housing?
Pawar wants it, 47th the ward. He wants it. But this is going.
I'm okay with that.
This is going to the same place where Mount Greenwood and Beverly used to be insulated from property taxes. A lot of these politically connected neighborhoods and neighborhoods that are magnets for people. It's the deterioration is uneven, but it is happening across the board, and no one will be insulated ultimately if nothing is done to change the way homes are valued by the government and thus the taxes that are imposed. And this is where we again propose the 1% hard cap that Indiana has. You have got to put handcuffs on the politicians, get rid of this mysticism in terms of how houses are assessed, where the government assesses houses at much more than they'll ever get in the marketplace for the purposes of imposing higher taxes across the board. And, of course, in this system, who's hurt the worst? The poorest. Those are your Chicago Democrats in charge. Ron on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Ron. Ron?
He held on for so long.
Ron.
Ron.
Oh, no.
Not Ron. And I was running.
Tom in Schaumburg.
I'll be brief. 2 points. I don't even understand these residents. Who wouldn't want to be woke up at 2 in the morning listening to a bunch of people in the street chanting, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Right now. And on property taxes, that suggestion was made 20 years ago. 1.5% the fair market value of the house. The 1.5% would be etched in stone. It could never change. Fair market value of your house could go up or down, but so would your taxes. You're living in a $400,000 house, your taxes are $6,000, and you know that when you buy the house. And that's what's fair. Instead of watching a guy in a $4.2 million house pay a half a point on the fair market value of his house, and a lady in a $300,000 house paying 4 points the fair market value on her house, 1.5% across the board. Owner-occupied residential dwellings should be treated differently than all other properties in the state, and that's how you handcuff the politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Daniel in Algonquin.
Yeah, hey, thanks for taking my call. Basically, what ties this all together is bad data and bad science, because they rely on, okay, taxes are good for everybody, but then, property values go down, and they don't look at the results of their issues, and all this things about, vouchers are good. Well, it doesn't apply to everything, so they just kind of destroy neighborhoods based on bad social science.
I agree with that, but I would also add, Daniel, it's also based on bad intentions. Bad intentions, because the voucher recipients turn out to be reliable voters. And I will say again, and this is something Democrats have figured out, particularly in urban centers. You put somebody on the dole, you have a reliable, and you keep them there. You incentivize them to stay there, then you have a reliable vote. And that's ultimately what this is about, which is the greatest indictment of the Dem politicians in charge of this city and the state. How cynical they are about other people's lives. How they see other people's lives as simply means to their power ends. How repugnant is that?
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't go to bed another night worrying about unfiled tax returns or the letters or the calls you're getting from the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, there's actually good news. The IRS has recently enacted changes in the tax law called the Fresh Start Initiative, specifically for troubled taxpayers who owe the IRS. You may be able to settle your entire tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest, if you qualify. Call for your free consultation with Comprehensive Tax Solutions. No matter what tax issue you're facing, one call to Mary Karpowitz of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family-owned in Chicagoland, can show you the difference between night and day so that you can enjoy what matters most to you. Don't spend another day or night hiding from the IRS. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. That's resolveyourtaxproblems.com with Comprehensive Tax Solutions.
Hey, you hear me talk about MyPillow all the time, but that's because a good night's sleep is so important for your health. And for the month of May, you still receive the 50% discount on the MyPillow 4-pack of 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, all for the price of 1. You can move that patented fill to give you the support you need where you need it, regardless of sleep position. And our good friend Mike Lindell makes them right here in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry your MyPillow. If you've got allergies, this is great because it's hypoallergenic. And, of course, you get the 10-year warranty, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. For the month of May, get the 50% off that 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy, or visit MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com.
I'm James Furr. I'm a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. and I have hepatitis C. My main focus was to take care of hepatitis C. Taking Balance of Nature did other things for me. I was feeling more energetic. My mental acuity had increased. When I play golf, I would notice that bending over to line up a putt, I would have a bit of a struggle to stand back up. But even now, 10 years later, I stand up better than I did then. I will live happily with hepatitis C instead of feeling like I want to die because someone's trying to cure me of it. Thanks to Balance of Nature, I live a normal, happy, healthy, pain-free life.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. What a culture celebrates, it begets. An internal FBI report obtained by Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner finds the D.C. press corps Dem politician Combine's neutral to laudatory review of Black Lives Matter rioters makes us less safe by making police less safe. The FBI reviewed 50 murders of police officers in 2016 and found in 14 of the cases the offenders simply wanted to kill police. The assailants, inspired by social and or political reasons, believed that attacking police officers was their way to get justice. The former mayor of Baltimore created a safe space for rioters in the wake of Freddie Gray's death. That has left her successor crying to the FBI for help in combating Baltimore's 20-year high murder rate. Chicago Mayor Tiny Dancer scapegoated the police locally and brought Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch to town to tell the nation they were all racist. After more murders in Chicago last year than in New York City and LA combined, Chicago saw a 45% increase in murders in April as compared to April of last year. When you treat police like the bad guys, you embolden the bad guys.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Do you look to your kid's high school superintendent for instruction on how your children should cope with television series?
Television series.
They do at Hidsdale Central. We'll have that at 8:08.
Goodness. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching at this hour. The auto parts company opening a facility on the south side of Chicago. That led to some reaction by the governor to being booed at a college graduation commencement ceremony. 2 boys killed in East Chicago shootings. We'll follow up on that developing story. An elderly woman carjacked on the south side. Democrats in Springfield are putting a hold on an abortion bill. We'll tell you why. Some evidence will be inadmissible in the Melody Glinowitz case. Twins hold on to trim the White Sox, while the Cubs will visit Busch Stadium and the Cardinals later on tonight. Mostly sunny day ahead in your forecast. We'll top out at 68 with a low of 45 overnight. More Dan and Amy after Fox News, WIND, Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump is defending conflicting statements about when and why he decided to fire FBI Director James Comey and tweeting a few minutes ago, Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. Live at the White House, Fox's John Decker.
President Trump tweeting this morning, as a very active president with lots of things happening, it's not possible for my surrogates to stand at podium with perfect accuracy. He also suggested that he could cancel future press briefings and rely on paper statements for accuracy. The tweets follow an interview with NBC in which he said he had already made up his mind to fire FBI Director James Comey before receiving guidance from the Justice Department. That contrasts with statements from White House officials. Meanwhile, a former Obama a DOJ spokesman tweeting that Comey leaves a protective paper trail whenever he deems something inappropriate happened. Chris?
John, thanks. Laying down the law, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is directing federal prosecutors to pursue the most serious charges against most suspects. That's a reversal of Obama administration policies aimed at avoiding mandatory minimum sentences. There's been a deadly bombing in Pakistan, reports of 25 people killed. Here's Fox's Jessica Gallagher.
Pakistan's prime minister is lambasting a bombing attack targeting the convoy of the deputy leader of the Senate in the Baluchistan province. ISIS claiming responsibility for the violence. According to government officials, the attack was carried out by a suicide bomber. Lawmaker Abdul Ghaffur Haderi was lightly wounded. At least 25 people were killed and 30 others wounded. Chris?
Jessica Gallagher in our Middle East Bureau. Thanks. New numbers on the economy. Retail sales bouncing back from a couple of slow months, up 0.4% in April, with the strongest growth shown by online sellers. Department store sales down 0.2%. That's from the Commerce Department. The Labor Department reports consumer prices up 0.2%. This is Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Mostly sunny skies. We have 51 degrees. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage Warranty. We're following a developing story this morning in Kirkersville, Ohio. That is just east of Columbus. It has just come in through the Associated Press. There are reports of an active shooter situation at an elementary school. Reported around 8 this morning. Kirkersville Elementary School is on lockdown. Television stations there are reporting to the Associated Press that an officer has been shot. Again, there are reports there of that active shooter situation in Kirkersville, Ohio, just east of Columbus, and it is a story we will follow for you this morning here in the newsroom. Meantime, here locally, authorities are investigating after 2 boys were killed in separate shootings in East Chicago. 4-year-old Garion Glover was found shot early yesterday in a home on Guthrie. Relatives believe the child accidentally shot himself after finding a gun the night before. 15-year-old Robert Thompson was gunned down in an apparent abandoned apartment about a mile south of where the other incident took place. Governor Rauner siding with groups of people who booed him during commencement ceremonies at Chicago's State. That chorus of boos erupted when he was introduced. Later in the day, the governor said he shared the crowd's frustration, adding a system developed by Democrats to fund education in the state is broken.
I share their frustration. This system is broken. I am totally with them. I'd love to boo our system as well.
The Southside University is dealing with major financial issues that developed long before the state's budget crisis. Illinois Senate Democrats are waiting before they send a controversial abortion bill to the governor's desk. Senate sponsor Don Harmon of Oak Park says the move is designed to give Rauner more time to reconsider. However, supporters of that bill likely don't have the votes to override a veto. But holding the bill will give Democrats like Don Harmon more time to exploit Rauner's position politically. Cubs open up a 3-game set with the rival Cardinals tonight at Busch, while the Twins beat the White Sox 7-6. Sox and Padres open up a 3-game interleague set tonight on the south side. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, here's Lillian Wu.
From the Fox Business Network, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin in Italy talking to G7 finance ministers about the president's plans for taxation and trade. More in on a possible expansion of the in-flight laptop ban on flights from the EU. There's now confirmation from the Department of Homeland Security that U.S. and European ministers are holding urgent talks on the ban. The EU reportedly has no information of a new threat that would trigger an expansion of the ban, which was slapped on some international flights, mostly from the Middle East, back in March. Fiat Chrysler recalling more than 1.25 million trucks around the world because of a software error linked to reports of 1 crash death and 2 injuries. The automaker saying an error code could temporarily disable side airbag deployment. And JCPenney reporting a loss of $180 million in the first quarter, earnings 6 cents a share. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lillian Wu.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hiring is the most challenging part of my job. It's really hard. The searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer.
ADT presents What to Consider When Considering Home Security. An ADT sign is more than a sign. It's a line in the sand. On one side, your family. On the other, an uncertain world.
For over 140 years, more people have chosen ADT to help prevent crime than anyone else. Get ADT starting at just $28.99 a month.
Tested, trusted, proven ADT.
With 36-month contract for licensing and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Maxim Power Sports in Merrillville. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
.807, let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is stop and go from Harlem to Randolph. It's 56 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 27 from Montrose, 25 in the Express, outbound 36 to the airport. Eden's 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Eisenhower, after a crash near Mill Road cleared, it's about 57 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 41 from Manheim, outbound 42 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 15 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 46 minutes. The Rhine is 37 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy 120 to 137. Northbound 95th to 31st. And from the Reagan all the way to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial slows 75th most of the way to St. Charles. And Army Trail to 290. Southbound 53 heavy Palatine to Kirchhoff and Higgins down to 290 after that earlier crash at Mill. 8094 eastbound, little slow Clay to Ripley. Westbound it's very heavy from I-65 to Grant. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Mostly sunny and 68 today. Low 45 overnight, currently 50. Next news at 8:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fox River Periodontics, Chicagoland specialist with dental implants. To get your smile back, visit implantsforme.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And Amy, in my day, when I wanted to skip class at Northwestern, me and some friends would sit around and watch 15 poignant teen drama and just make fun of it. Today, what's that?
The Nerd Squad.
Yeah.
Nerds are cool, though. Actually, they said that yesterday, that nerds, if you want to settle down and be happy, marry a nerd.
All right, so there's still hope for me. All right, so that's what we did. But now poignant teen dramas come with notes from the principal. I mentioned this. I incorrectly said it was the superintendent. It's the principal of Hinsdale Central that sent this missive to Hinsdale Central parents. We want to make you aware of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, based upon Jay Asher's 2007 young adult novel. The show portrays a high school student who makes 13 cassette tapes for the 13 people whom she believes are responsible for her death.
For her suicide.
By suicide. with the show. Well, while the show is raising awareness and conversations about difficult topics such as suicide, depression, bullying, and sexual assault, it does so in a way that provides confusing and inaccurate messages for teenagers. It's important that teenagers have an outlet for talking about the difficult themes portrayed in the series. We encourage you as parents to engage in discussion around these topics with your child, and we would like you to know that the counseling department is here to support you and your student with any concerns. Feel free to reach out to the Director of the Counseling and Social Work, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely, William Walsh, Principal, Hinsdale Central.
I've been watching the series with my kids. I'm on episode 6. It's like a murder mystery, but not to reveal who did it, but to reveal why. So each episode, somebody else gets their video cassette. And some things that are done to Hannah, she's the main character, who there's flashbacks, she comes in and out. It's well written, but
okay.
But I think that it does kind of promote suicide. So I understand why that principal wrote that letter. There was a student at Hersey High School who recently committed suicide, and they just don't want others to commit suicide.
And so this is, you think, the proper province of the school to be sending material out to parents, suggesting that they be aware of this, that there's resources at the school for counseling on these topics and the like. This
Well, it just shows that they're concerned.
Yeah.
And they care, and that there might be a problem out because of this show. But the reason why I watch it with my kids, because they were secretly watching it, and I put an end to that and said, well, I want to see what you're watching. And I do kind of see how it promotes suicide.
312
if you're unstable and you're watching this.
Well, that's a big if, isn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. Are you watching Netflix, or are you watching that 13 Reasons Why, and or do you need instruction from your school? Do you find it intrusive at all that the school, believes it has the standing to weigh in on these matters, is instructing you about the television viewing habits of your kids? Now, to be fair, it's not like this is just Hinsdale Central. A parent at the grade school that I went to was St. Mike's in Wheaton.
Yeah.
They also sent some kind of memo. I haven't seen that, but they also sent some kind of memo out to parents along the lines of this principal at Hinsdale Central. I don't like it.
Really?
No, I don't like it.
I don't find it intrusive at all. I don't think it questions my parenting skills that I'm letting the kids watch it. I think it's showing that they care and they're concerned that people are going to want to do this, because the show is really about justice after death. Because her mom finds out, by going to the bathroom in the school that, people were writing things about her daughter on the wall, that she was being bullied. So it's a catalyst to get the wheels of justice turning even after you kill yourself. So it's like she killed herself in order to get the justice that she was seeking.
Yeah, complicated. Yeah, it's complicated material.
Well, she was a victim of a sexual assault, but
So-
you find out, but you don't know who did it.
So what else? What other?
Being bullied, sexually assaulted. I'm just saying those are the list of things that the character is going through.
And so what other complicated material that tackles the topics like this should the schools weigh in on? Is this the only thing? Or because it's popular?
So you're saying it's none of their business?
Yeah. Here's what I want you to care about.
To police what we're doing at home?
Worry about my students' performance. Worry about seeding, and we'll talk at the bottom of this hour to Chris Perrin, the CEO of and publisher of Classical Academic Press. Worry about the quality of education you're providing my child the opportunity to earn. This is a prof parenting tip, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Prof's parenting tip.
Yeah.
Number 5, I believe that was.
Focus on curriculum and instruction and intellectual development. And I'll tell you what, let me handle the consumption of outside school content of my child. Let me handle emotional, personality related issues with my child. And if I seek to enlist you, okay, if there's resources available, as are at Hinsdale Central, okay. I find the proactivity on these topics and the reactivity on academic topics to be just another indicator of how poor K through 12 education is performing in the modern context.
It just hit me why they sent that letter out, because in the series, they're threatening litigation because the mom comes and meets the principal